Chapter 116. After fighting for an hour, using Zhenyu Hand 4 times was Night Sorrow's limit. His body and true chi were almost depleted, so he didn't dare to let Emo-chan use 5 consecutive strikes. Emo-chan raised his sword and blocked Night Sorrow's spear. The two of them were in a deadlock. 13. Do you still have true chi? If I'm at the peak stage of element gathering realm, my true chi should be almost depleted. Are you sure you can do it? Emo-chan blocked Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear and said with a smile, I can't. This is the last strike. After saying this, Night Sorrow sat down on the ground. After using the 4th Zhenyu hand, the energy in his body was almost depleted, and his legs were weak. Aoi held 2 cups of tea and handed one to Emo-chan and the other to Night Sorrow. After drinking the tea, Night Sorrow bowed to his senior sister and senior brother. He dragged his reincarnation spear and left. Once his energy was depleted, he would have to cultivate. Not bad. I'm so tired that I'm covered in sweat. 13 has no problem fighting against someone in the late stage of element gathering realm. Emo-chan wiped his sweat and said, 9th junior sister, hey? 9th junior sister, what are you thinking about? Aoi said, didn't you guys see? He used Zhenyu hand 4 times in a row. How is this possible? When I first started cultivating, I could only use 1 move. Young Lei said frantically. At this time, Aoi and Emo-chan finally remembered. They didn't cultivate heaven covering hand, so they didn't notice. This bastard. After fighting for an hour, he could still use Zhenyu hand 4 times. This is heaven defying. Young Lei paced back and forth as she pondered. Aoi and Emo-chan didn't utter a word. The two of them were also thinking. 9th senior sister, I used my sword just now. If it was a fist or a palm, I would be at a disadvantage, right? Emo-chan asked after thinking for a while. That's right. Because the speed of your piercing cloud 6 consecutive strikes was very fast. You weren't able to take the full brunt of his Zhenyu hand's attack. If it had been a clash of fists and palms, then the one who wouldn't have been able to withstand it would have been you who had used your element gathering tier cultivation. Young Lei nodded. 9th senior sister, do you have the urge to hang 13 up and interrogate him? Emo-chan said with a smile. That's not necessarily the case. I'm only happy that 13 is outstanding. This is his path, not mine. Young Lei shook her head. After cultivating for 2 days, Night Sorrow came out. He didn't even eat when he came out. Instead, he went straight to Emo-chan to continue sparring. Go wash up and eat something. Your hair is a mess. You look like a lunatic, Aoi complained when she saw Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow wanted to fight Emo-chan immediately, but he had to listen to Aoi. He went to wash up and then went to the practice field. OC Original Version 6, F. When he arrived at the practice field, Night Sorrow took out a sky-piercing spear and pinned it to his waist. 13, you can't do this. You can't throw this away when we're sparring. You'll lose your life. Seeing the sky-piercing spear at Night Sorrow's waist, Emo-chan was so scared that he took a step back. I don't plan to throw it away. I only have 2 hands. The reincarnation spear in my right hand can't defend against you. I can use a short spear with my left hand. Night Sorrow looked at the sky-piercing spear at his waist and said, Fine. If you dare to throw it away, then I won't play with you anymore. Emo-chan waved his long sword and began to attack. Night Sorrow held the reincarnation spear with both hands and attacked wildly, not allowing Emo-chan to get close to him. If he didn't defend and let Emo-chan get close, Night Sorrow would let go of the reincarnation spear in his left hand and grab the sky-piercing spear to stab fiercely. This kind of attacking method gave Emo-chan a headache. He shouldn't get close. The long sword didn't have any power, but if he got close, Night Sorrow's short spear in his left hand would not only randomly stab, but also have an extraordinary strength. There was also a shock force on it, making it very difficult for him to defend. His long sword was easily shaken away. Aoi covered her mouth and laughed. 11 is too sullen. Hee, this kind of sparring is simply torture. That's right. After just 1 battle, 13 already has a targeted tactic. If it wasn't for the fact that 13's true chi at the peak stage of element gathering realm is much stronger than his, this sparring wouldn't have been able to continue. Young Lei also said. Night Sorrow's left hand and right hand were 2 extremes. His right hand was wide open and firm, while his left hand was incomparably smooth. If you dare to get close, I'll randomly stab you with my short spear. 6th senior sister, 9th senior sister, 13th's method is too shameless. After fighting for a while, Emochan sullenly began to shout. Emochan couldn't be blamed for this. He had to suppress his cultivation. With his cultivation at the peak stage of element gathering realm, he couldn't completely suppress Night Sorrow. If he attacked forcefully, he would be shaken away by Night Sorrow's shock force. If he got close, he would have to face the attacks of Night Sorrow's short spear. He also couldn't directly use the 6 consecutive cloud-piercing strikes. That would lose the meaning of sparring. Hearing Emochan's shout, Night Sorrow took a few steps back. This won't do. Then I won't use my short spear. After saying this, Night Sorrow put away his short spear. Why not use it? Aoi asked. 11th senior brother doesn't like it. Night Sorrow looked at Aoi and said. His thoughts were very simple. This was sparring. If Emochan didn't like it, then he wouldn't use it. 13, do you know? The more the opponent hates the tactic, the more effective it is. You have the short spear, so your 11th senior brother won't be able to attack. This is the most effective tactic. Sparring should be like this. Yang Lei corrected Night Sorrow's thoughts. Then 11th senior brother, shall we continue? Night Sorrow once again put his short spear back into his waist, and said to Emochan. Continue. I can't do anything to you, but what can you do to me? Emochan said as he waved his long sword. This time Night Sorrow attacked first. After attacking, Night Sorrow seemed like a completely different person. He held his reincarnation spear in both hands and continuously stabbed, smashed and flicked. Emochan relied on his body movement to dodge. Occasionally he would attack with his sword, forcing Night Sorrow to defend himself. He would only occasionally counterattack. If he counterattacked continuously, Night Sorrow would use his short spear to stab him when he got close. Neither of them could do anything to the other. After fighting for an hour, the two of them stopped. Both of them had used up most of their cultivation. Emochan's cultivation was at the peak stage of element gathering realm. There's not much point in sparring like this. 13, your cultivation is too low, so you can't keep up with your 11th senior brother's pace. You should hurry up and increase your cultivation, Yang Lei said. I know. I'll go into seclusion in 2 days. When Night Sorrow was cultivating last night, he felt that he couldn't refine the energy to increase his cultivation. This was a sign that he had reached the peak stage of the 2nd level of element gathering realm. Don't just focus on cultivating. Sometimes it's good to relax a little. Go wash up, then ask Hai Luo to prepare some dishes. Roast some meat, and ask your 6th senior sister to prepare some good wine. Let's have a drink, Yang Lei said. Okay, I'll come later. Night Sorrow nodded and left. Ever since I had 13, my wine reserves have suffered. Fortunately, I brewed some wine a few years ago and stored it in the cellar. Otherwise, it would have been squeezed dry by you guys, Aoi said with a smile. Chapter 117. It won't be long. This time, other than the battle between 13 and Su Mu, Chu Ning and the others won't be ranked low, Aoi said. Although Chu Ning and the others were not as eye-catching as Night Sorrow, they were still much stronger than the outer disciples of the other peaks. This time, it's not just the competition between the new disciples. It's also the competition between Taixian Peak and 9th Yin Peak, Yang Lei said with a sigh. Aoi and Emochan both nodded. This sect competition was indeed very important, because it involved the competition for the position of Medicine Valley's Valley Master. The Medicine Valley's Valley Master not only needed to be strong, but also had the ability to manage and teach disciples. Gong Xian and Yang Lei's advancement had already won a lot of face for Yu Yangyu. If Night Sorrow could defeat Su Mu, then Su Chenbai's side would be completely at a disadvantage. It could be said that they had no chance to compete with Yu Yangyu for the position of Valley Master. After stabilizing his cultivation for 2 days, Night Sorrow said goodbye to Yang Lei and Aoi, and went into seclusion. Emochan was originally going to help Night Sorrow guard, but he was driven away by Yang Lei and Aoi to accompany Chu Lingfei. Yang Lei and Aoi were playing chess in the hall of the courtyard's main building, helping Night Sorrow guard. In fact, Night Sorrow was just advancing, so he didn't need to guard so seriously. It was just Aoi and Yanglei who were worried. Night Sorrow calmed the true qi in his dantian in his room. After his true qi was completely calm, Night Sorrow took half a spirit congealing pill and began to break through to the third level of essence gathering realm. Advancing to the essence gathering realm was similar to advancing to the qi refining realm, but the quality of true qi was different. At the same time, one needed to expand their dantian. Every time he advanced in the qi refining and essence gathering realms, he had to expand his dantian to accommodate more true qi. This was all in preparation for condensing his gold core. Night Sorrow controlled the true qi in his dantian and spread it in all directions, expanding the volume of his dantian. This was a necessary process. With the shock impact of true qi, the space in Night Sorrow's dantian was getting larger and larger. He guided the medicinal power of the spirit congealing pill into the dantian to fill the blank space. The medicinal power of the spirit congealing pill entered the dantian as a misty energy. After being refined by the true qi, it turned into a liquid true qi, wandering outside the second true qi halo. 2 hours passed. 4 hours passed. The space in Night Sorrow's dantian had reached the limit of what true qi could expand. At this time, Night Sorrow began to circulate the Zhen Qi in his dantian to condense the third Zhen Qi halo. With the medicinal power of Night Sorrow refining the spirit congealing pill, there was no shortage of true qi energy to condense the third true qi halo. Under the efforts of Night Sorrow, the third true qi halo slowly formed. Night Sorrow circulated the 2 true qi halos inside, driving the third one to slowly rotate and slowly solidify. Time slipped away little by little. It took half a day. The third true qi halo did not need to be driven by the previous 2 true qi halos, and it could also operate on its own. Third level of element gathering realm. At this time, Night Sorrow officially entered the third level of element gathering realm. After stabilizing his cultivation for a while, Night Sorrow walked out of the room after dawn. Genuine Z1_P_. Not bad, congratulations 13. Seeing Night Sorrow coming down from the second floor, Aoi got up and greeted him. 6th senior sister, 9th senior sister. You've been guarding me all night? There's no need for that. Night Sorrow's heart felt warm. He knew that his 2 senior sisters cared about him. I'm just playing chess with 6th senior sister. It's nothing. It's good that you've successfully advanced. Let's go eat something. I don't know what Hai Luo made for breakfast this morning. Hai Luo is better at managing the courtyard than Little Six, Yanglei said with a smile. Little Six is good at managing people in the future. As for other things, Hai Luo is more suitable. Aoi also thought so. In the loft, Hai Luo and the other girls had already prepared breakfast. Little Six had also returned. He had gone to Danding City early to buy food and vegetables for Tianyu and Aoi's mounts. Little Six, in the future, listen to Hai Luo when it comes to food arrangements. Hai Luo will take care of the internal matters of the courtyard. You take care of the external matters. Night Sorrow said to Little Six. I understand. Hai Luo is truly better at managing the courtyard than me. Little Six nodded, but there was a hint of disappointment in his eyes. Don't think too much. I don't have any other intentions. In the future, you can also cultivate. You will also be responsible for the courtyard's safety. Here are some essence nurturing pills. You and Hai Luo will each get a bottle. When you're done, you can ask me for more. If Hai Luo asks Hai Luo anything, Hai Luo will ask for more. Night Sorrow took out the essence nurturing pills he had refined himself, and gave them to Little Six and Hai Luo. Only then did he eat breakfast with Aoi and Yanglei. Not bad, not bad. Aoi said as she ate. They had been worried that Night Sorrow would not be able to handle things properly and disappoint Little Six. Who would have thought that Night Sorrow would be so experienced? Night Sorrow smiled and continued eating. He felt that although Little Six's abilities were not as strong as Hai Luo's, he was still diligent. He was worthy of an important position. 13. Are you in a good mood? Yanglei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I advanced. This way, I can take the essence nurturing pill and increase my strength before the sect competition. Night Sorrow said as he took a bite of his bun. You should relax and stabilize your cultivation for the next few days. It's not good to be tense all the time. Look at Chu Ning and Tang Tian, those brats. They are so carefree every day. Yang Lei said with a smile. I understand. I plan to stabilize my cultivation for the next few days while cultivating and concocting pills, Night Sorrow said. That's fine. What about that leopard embryo tendon strengthening pill you want to refine? I suggest you refine the essence nurturing pill first. Wait until you are proficient in refining tier 2 pills before touching it. After all, the golden silk leopard's blood is very precious, Aoi gave her opinion. I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. He did not dare to squander the materials for the leopard embryo tendon strengthening pill. After eating, Night Sorrow began to refine the essence nurturing pill under Aoi's guidance. This was a mainstream tier 2 support pill. After half an hour, Night Sorrow managed to refine a cauldron of essence nurturing pill. Although he succeeded, the quality was not good enough and could not be used. Again, Aoi gave him a lot of tier 2 materials. It was enough for him to squander. After refining the third cauldron, the quality of the essence nurturing pill passed and could be used. 2 cauldrons of pills that cannot be used. What a waste of materials, Night Sorrow said as he looked at the 2 cauldrons of pills that were not good enough. You've only failed twice to refine a tier 2 medicinal pill. Be content with that. Refine 3 cauldrons a day. After 10 days you will be able to control the fire, Aoi said. Okay, where are the materials? Night Sorrow looked at Aoi and said with a smile. 11, I'll leave the purchasing of the materials to you. You and Ling Fei can go sightseeing, Aoi said. Okay. For the sake of our future alchemy master, I'll be the errand boy. Emochan shook his head and said. Thank you, 11th senior brother. I'll go cultivate, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 118. After advancing, Yishang didn't use the spirit congealing pill. He only ate the blood essence pill to cultivate the Book of Myriad Tao. His Zhenqi was only used to stabilize his cultivation. He didn't try to advance rashly. There was no point in increasing his cultivation. 1 essence strengthening pill was enough to replenish the energy needed to reach level 3 of element gathering tier. Yishang spent the next few days like this. In the afternoon and at night, he cultivated the Myriad Tao Tome and stabilized his true qi cultivation. During the day, he cultivated his combat skills for a while, and then he refined pills. Now his speed and quality of refining pills had greatly improved. He only needed 2 hours to refine a batch of qi gathering pills. Moreover, the quality of the pills was also very high. Aoi and the others were also very happy. Aoi specialized in refining pills, but she did not refine low-level pills. The main reason was that Taishan Peak did not need low-level pills. Because there were no third-generation disciples and no members below the 2nd level, they did not need qi-gathering pills. However, after this year, they would need qi-gathering pills. Nangong Dai, Chuning, and the others had all entered the essence-gathering stage and needed qi-gathering pills to cultivate. In addition, Taishan Peak would also be recruiting new disciples next year. There was a huge shortage of pills. The main peak, Danding Peak, gave out resources, but after all, it was limited. Therefore, Taishan Peak also needed to refine qi-gathering pills. This way, the disciples could improve faster. Now Night Sorrow could cultivate his alchemy skills and also accumulate some qi-gathering pills. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. After refining qi-gathering pills for 10 days, Night Sorrow planned to refine leopard embryo muscle strengthening pills. Although he still had blood essence pills, he could not keep up with the pace and delayed his cultivation progress. After talking to Aoi, Night Sorrow began to refine the pills. It was Yishang's first time refining the leopard embryo tendon strengthening pill, so he was a little nervous. Rank 2 elixirs were different. The soul gathering elixir was the simplest rank 2 beginner elixir, while the leopard embryo tendon strengthening pill was a rank 2 advanced elixir. There was still some difference in difficulty between them. I don't know how to refine this pill. You have to control the ratio of the ingredients. Don't be quick, just steady. Aoi reminded Night Sorrow when she saw Night Sorrow take out the ingredients. Yishang nodded. He divided the main ingredients and supplementary ingredients before starting to refine. First of all, the gallbladder of the black and white twin python was refined by Night Sorrow. This was the main ingredient of the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill. Under the heat of the furnace, the python gallbladder melted, turning into a medicinal concoction. Night Sorrow slowly condensed and purified the medicinal concoction. This was a slow process, and it took 1 hour for Night Sorrow to complete the purification. Next, it was time to refine and purify the green radish grass and 100-spirit grass. The 100-spirit grass was not a supplementary material. It was an ingredient needed for almost all pills. It was neutral, and was the carrier of the medicinal juice. After purifying the green radish grass and 100-spirit grass, Night Sorrow began to refine the golden silk leopard's blood. Night Sorrow did not use the golden silk leopard's heart blood. It would be a waste to use it to refine the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill. Ordinary golden silk leopard's blood would suffice. Yi Shang slowly boiled the golden silk leopard's blood, and concentrated the energy within it. When the golden silk leopard's blood began to show traces of gold, Yi Shang added in the decoction made from the black and white twin flower python's gallbladder, and continued to refine it. The two ingredients churned within the furnace. After boiling for half an hour, Night Sorrow poured the green radish grass and 100-spirit grass's medicinal concoction into the furnace. He then slowly boiled and condensed the concoction. Night Sorrow was a little nervous. This leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill was too important to him. Don't be nervous. You just need to be steady and condense it slowly. When the time is right, the pill will be formed. Aoi reminded him. She was clear about Night Sorrow's current state. Nodding his head, Night Sorrow put all his energy into the furnace. After half an hour, the medicinal concoction in the furnace had condensed to a certain degree. Night Sorrow began to control the gelatinous medicinal concoction to form the pill. This refining process took an hour. When the medicine furnace cooled down, Yi Shang opened it, and found a dozen dark red pills with golden threads lying inside. He immediately smiled. It's done. It's done in 1 try. Not bad. You can even succeed in refining a Tier 2 high-grade pill in 1 try. Not bad. Aoi patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. Night Sorrow carefully put the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill into a jade bottle. The energy is very strong. It can't be compared to the dragon bone pill, but it's still very strong. Aoi said with a smile. 6th senior sister, can you guys use it? Night Sorrow asked when he saw Yang Lei walking over. I don't know. When you refine it again, give us a few to try. Aoi didn't stand on ceremony. They were all senior and junior sisters. There was no need for formalities. Now take 2 and study it. I'll refine it tomorrow. Night Sorrow gave Aoi and Yang Lei 2 pills each. Then he put away the bottle. He was very tired today. Not only physically, but mentally as well. After returning to his room, Night Sorrow slept for 2 hours before going to cultivate. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, Aoi and Yang Lei ate the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill, and started to feel the medicinal effects. Night Sorrow also ate 1 pill. He wanted to feel the difference between the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill and the blood essence pill. He didn't know whether it was suitable or not. This was a rank 2 blood essence pill that he found himself. The leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill slowly melted in his mouth. It turned into energy and entered Night Sorrow's body. Night Sorrow circulated the energy of the myriad Dao treasured tome, and refined the energy, turning it into his own energy. /head L equals hair QX. Night Sorrow only finished refining the energy of the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill when the sun rose. Night Sorrow felt that the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill was much stronger than the blood essence pill. The blood essence pill's energy could only support him for 2 hours. 2 blood essence pills could only support him for 4 hours. After cultivating for the whole night, half of the night was spent absorbing the energy of heaven and earth. Night Sorrow went to the martial arts practice field, and practiced the wind-chasing spear art for a while. He felt refreshed. After washing up, Night Sorrow went to the loft where he ate. Night Sorrow had just sat down when Aoi and Yang Lei arrived. How's the pill? Night Sorrow asked. It's not good. I didn't even absorb 1/5 of the energy before my body couldn't take it. I could only spit out half of the pill. The excess energy was wasted. Aoi said, "My situation isn't too good either. I only absorbed 1/3 of the energy and my body couldn't take it anymore." Yang Lei's situation was slightly better than Aoi's. Ninth senior sister, didn't you eat the dragon bone pill before? Why can't you take it? Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. It's not the same. The dragon bone pill's medicinal effect is mild. Even if you don't refine it, it can continue to strengthen your body. Your leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill's medicinal effect is fierce. If you don't refine it, it will dissipate. The two are completely different. Yang Lei shook her head. Night Sorrow understood. If he didn't use the Myriad Tao treasured book, he wouldn't be able to absorb the energy of the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill. Aoi and Yang Lei wouldn't be able to do it either. It seemed like this was his exclusive pill. Cultivating the Myriad Tao treasured book was also his exclusive path. Let's not talk about this. This thing isn't suitable for us. 13. Did you use it? Aoi thought of this question. Chapter 119. What a monster! Aoi glanced at Night Sorrow. 6th senior sister, 9th senior sister, I have some elixirs that are not as effective as the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill. You can try them. Night Sorrow took out 2 bottles of blood essence pills and gave one to Aoi and Yang Lei. With the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill, the blood essence pill was of little use to Night Sorrow. Then let's try this. Oh right, this leopard tendon strengthening pill is for you. It's useless for us. It's a complete waste. Yang Lei put away the blood essence pill and returned the leopard tendon strengthening pill to Yishang. Aoi did the same. She gave the other leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill back to Night Sorrow and put away the blood essence pill. Let's try it first. I don't know where you got this good stuff. Remember, there are almost no elixirs that can strengthen the body. Be careful and don't get targeted. I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. Are you still making the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill? Aoi gave Night Sorrow a bowl of porridge and asked. Yes, this one won't take long. Night Sorrow said. Then you don't have enough guts? Yang Lei thought for a while and asked. Last time, she only brought a dozen guts. Yes, I have a lot of golden silk leopard's blood, but I don't have enough guts and green radish grass. Later, I will go to the pharmacies in Danding City to buy some. Night Sorrow told her his plan. Young master, what do you want to buy? I will do it. Little Six came in and heard Night Sorrow's words. Night Sorrow didn't let Little Six call him Lord. Now Little Six and Hai Luo all called him Young Master Night Sorrow. Okay, I need the guts, green radish grass and 100 spirit grass. You can control the price. If there are any problems, come to me. Night Sorrow nodded. Okay, I'll go right away. Little Six nodded and walked out. What's the hurry? Let's eat first. I'm not in a hurry. Night Sorrow waved his hand at Little Six. Little Six bowed to Night Sorrow and went to eat. After finishing his meal, Night Sorrow went to the martial arts practice field and started to practice his combat skills. His current goal was higher. He used the reincarnation spear with his right hand and the sky-piercing spear in his left hand. He also used the wind-chasing spear art. The difference was that one of his moves was big and wide, while the other was strange and ever-changing. Okioheim and Yang Lei, who were watching from the side, looked at each other. There were many things in their eyes. They knew that to be able to deduce many things from one instance and cultivate the wind-chasing spear art to such a level, even the senior who created this spear art was unable to do so. Yang Lei didn't say anything. She gestured to Aoi to continue watching. After cultivating for an hour, Night Sorrow stopped. His face wasn't red and he wasn't out of breath. Since this wasn't a spar, cultivating for an hour didn't consume much of his energy. Senior sisters, do you think I can cultivate like this? After putting away the sky-piercing spear and the reincarnation spear, Night Sorrow asked. It depends on the situation. If your opponent is aggressive and has a higher cultivation level than you, just like your 11th senior brother that day, the effect of your dual spear art is fine. If your opponent is about the same level as you, then your strength is strong and you have the vibration force technique. You can completely crush your opponent. Yang Lei expressed her opinion. I understand. In other words, my short spear will only be useful if I meet an opponent who can break through my reincarnation spear and use the wind-chasing spear art. At other times, I don't need it. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. That's right. Different opponents require different tactics. Take you junior brother, for example. It's very difficult for your opponent to withstand the full brute force of a Tier 2 attack. Offense is the best defense. Yang Lei shared her experience. I understand. This is suitable for protecting my life, but it reduces the strength of my attacks. Night Sorrow understood the meaning behind Yang Lei's words. Senior Martial Sister doesn't mean that you can't cultivate this. She mainly wants to tell you how to fight. Yang Lei explained. She was worried that she would mislead Night Sorrow. I understand what Senior Martial Sister means. Oh right, can we throw the short spear during the sec competition? Night Sorrow changed the topic and asked. There's no precedent for this. The short spear can't be considered a hidden weapon, but it can be thrown. Yang Lei was also stunned by Night Sorrow's question. The Medicine Valley sec competition didn't allow the use of hidden weapons. However, it was hard to say whether Night Sorrow's sky-piercing spear was considered a hidden weapon. It depends on the situation. If the situation isn't good, then shoot. Aoi said. Night Sorrow nodded. He understood that he shouldn't shoot the sky-piercing spear if he could. After eating something at noon, Night Sorrow went to refine the leopard embryo tendon strengthening pill. He wanted to turn the blood of an ordinary golden silk leopard into an elixir. That would be enough for him to advance to the bone-forging stage of the Myriad Tao Treasured Tome. Watching Night Sorrow refine the elixir, Yang Lei lost her patience and left after watching for a while. Aoi accompanied Night Sorrow until he finished refining a cauldron. You're getting more and more skilled. Very good. It seems that you can also specialize in alchemy. However, don't delay your cultivation. Aoi said to Night Sorrow. A person's energy was limited. If they went astray, it would greatly affect their own achievements. A high-level alchemist must be a cultivator with profound cultivation. However, a cultivator with profound cultivation wasn't necessarily an alchemist's grandmaster. Profound attainments in alchemy required cultivation as a foundation. This was a prerequisite. Therefore, Aoi reminded Night Sorrow. After putting away the leopard embryo tendon strengthening pill, Night Sorrow realized that he didn't have many jade bottles left. In the future, it would be a problem to store elixirs. He asked Little Six to get more elixir bottles. /C. Only original? E. He's all V pirated copies. When he went to drink tea with Aoi, Night Sorrow noticed the situation in the martial arts practice field. Yang Lei had one hand behind her back and the other hand was holding a rattan. She was teaching the third-generation disciples of the Taishan Peak. The third-generation disciples of the Taishan Peak were all here. All of them had entered the essence-gathering realm. Now that Yang Lei was teaching them battle techniques, they would be whipped if anything went wrong. 13. Do you think that you're luckier than them? Aoi said with a smile when she saw Night Sorrow's mouth twitching. Yes. If I was a third-generation disciple, ninth senior sister would whip me too. Night Sorrow said. No. This has nothing to do with which generation you are. It's about your attitude towards cultivation. You don't need to supervise them. They're doing very well. We're not as good as them. However, they're not as good. They're talented but not hard-working enough. Aoi said. I think they're working very hard. Night Sorrow said. They're good enough compared to normal people and other peaks. However, they're disciples of the Taishan Peak. If they're not strong enough, they'll embarrass the Taishan Peak. Do they have the strength to fight back when they're bullied? It'll be too late for regrets. Aoi said. Chapter 120. After watching Night Sorrow for a while, he went to cultivate. He planned to settle down for one more day, before eating the origin increasing pill. There were still over 20 days before the sec competition, so time was tight. After returning to his room, Night Sorrow began to cultivate. He did not eat the spirit congealing pill to cultivate now, because it was useless. Even if it increased his cultivation by a bit, there was not much meaning. The effect of the origin increasing pill was to raise his cultivation level to the peak, and could not help him advance. For example, Night Sorrow was currently in the early stage of the third level of element gathering realm. After eating the origin increasing pill, his cultivation level would increase to the peak of the third level. Even if Night Sorrow reached the middle stage of the third level of element gathering realm, the result would still be the same. Night Sorrow had to calculate the time. After eating the origin increasing pill, he still had to stabilize his cultivation level, and then break through to the fourth level of element gathering realm. Using the cultivation level of the fourth level of element gathering realm to participate in the sect competition would be much stronger than using the cultivation level of the third level of element gathering realm. After cultivating for an entire night, Night Sorrow got up to wash up, practiced a round of fist techniques, ate some food, and took a stroll to catch his breath. After greeting Yanglei and Aoi, he returned to his room, ate the origin increasing pill, and began to cultivate. The medicinal effect of the origin increasing pill was relatively slow, but it was endless. Night Sorrow continuously refined the medicinal effect into true qi, filling the emptiness of his dantian after advancing. Feeling that he could control the rhythm, Night Sorrow ate the leopard embryo tendon strengthening pill, and cultivated the myriad Tao treasured tome. During this time, Night Sorrow worked hard to cultivate true qi, but did not neglect the cultivation of the myriad Tao treasured tome. Currently, he was not far from the peak of the first level of muscle strengthening. This time, Night Sorrow spent 3 days in seclusion, but the results were obvious. Not only did his true qi cultivation level rise to the peak of the third level of element gathering realm, but he also raised the level of the myriad Tao treasured tome to the peak of the first level of muscle strengthening. Not bad. Peak of the third level of element gathering realm. There's still half a month's time. If everything goes well, you might be able to raise another level, Aoi said with a smile when she saw Night Sorrow come out of seclusion. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. He was also very satisfied with the progress. After eating, Night Sorrow played with Tianyu for a while, and then took a walk around Celestial Lake to relax himself. After that, Night Sorrow returned to his room. He wanted to raise the cultivation level of the myriad Daos tome, and do his best for the sect competition. Originally, Night Sorrow had attached great importance to the sect competition, but not to this extent. A few days ago, he saw Yanglei teaching the disciples how to practice combat skills, and heard what Aoi said. He was determined to win the sect competition because it was the glory of Taishian Peak. In addition, he also had to fight for Yu Yangyu. Where's 13? Aoi, who had finished brewing tea in the living room, asked without seeing Night Sorrow. Lady Aoi, the young master has returned to his room. He's probably cultivating, Hailuo said. Got it. Aoi sighed. She felt a bit sad. She wished she could take his place, but currently, only Night Sorrow could take on the task of competing amongst the newcomers. The first layer of the myriad Daos tome strengthened the muscles in the arms and palms. After this period of hard work and the support of the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill, Night Sorrow's body was already saturated with energy. Night Sorrow controlled the energy in his body and directed it to his left arm and hand. With his experience of breaking through to the blood refining realm, Night Sorrow knew it was easier to do it one at a time. If he directly strengthened both arms, then the energy wouldn't be concentrated. As the energy entered and strengthened, waves of energy appeared on Night Sorrow's left arm. They were like small twisting snakes. Pain. It was extremely painful. The cramping pain caused Night Sorrow's forehead to be covered in sweat. However, this kind of pain was something Night Sorrow could endure. What he was most afraid of was the feeling of suffocation when breaking through to the 9th rank in the blood refining realm, as well as the feeling of numbness when breaking through to the muscle strengthening realm. After 4 hours, Night Sorrow's energy had completely strengthened the muscles in his left arm and hand. The energy was shuttling back and forth through his muscles. After his left arm was done, Night Sorrow began to strengthen his right arm and hand. Time slowly slipped by. Night Sorrow's right arm and right arm's muscles were strengthened one by one. This time, it was much slower. After all, when strengthening his left arm and hand, his body was saturated with energy. After strengthening his left arm and hand, A large amount of energy was consumed. In 6 hours, Night Sorrow finished strengthening the tendons and veins in his right arm and right hand. Opening his eyes, Night Sorrow stretched out his arms and clenched his fists. Following his movements, Night Sorrow's arms and hands emitted caw-caw sounds. Night Sorrow felt as if he was squashing a fierce tiger to death. The strength in his arms was around 13,000 to 14,000 jin. Looking at the sky outside, it was still filled with stars. Night Sorrow did not leave his room. He sat down and stabilized his cultivation. He had to stabilize his cultivation at the peak of the 3rd rank of element gathering tier. He had to stabilize his cultivation at the 2nd rank of the muscle strengthening realm. He cultivated all the way until dawn. Only then did Night Sorrow leave his room. With the help of the light, Night Sorrow discovered that his sleeves were a bit dirty. There was also a fishy smell. After opening his sleeves, Night Sorrow noticed that there were dark brown spots on the skin of his arms and the back of his palms. Impurities in his body. Night Sorrow knew that when he broke through, the impurities in his arms and muscles were forced out. This was a clear sign that his body had evolved. After taking a bath, Night Sorrow went to the loft where the dining room was located. 13 Come here. Once you start cultivating, you don't pay attention to the time. Aoi looked at Night Sorrow with some heartache. E13 You've improved again? Young Lei could see that Night Sorrow was different. After entering the 2nd rank of the muscle strengthening realm, Night Sorrow's blood flowed much faster in his arms. His muscles and veins also contained energy. I've improved a bit. 9th Senior Sister, you can even see this? Night Sorrow sat down and said with a smile. Zuo had hair. Your arms probably have a strength of over 10,000 jin. Even if you don't use your Jin Qi, it would be very difficult for you to fight against someone in the 5th or 6th rank of element gathering tier. Young Lei said with some emotion. Night Sorrow's ability to strengthen his body was too strong. Her current body's strength was about the same as Night Sorrow's, but her strength was not as strong as Night Sorrow's. And more or less. But I still need to cultivate a bit more. I have the strength now, but I still need to familiarize myself with controlling it. But you have this foundation. If you go up against Sumu, he shouldn't have any advantage. With his talent, he should be suppressed by you. This is his capital. Young Lei said after some analysis. Good, that's good. When it's the sect competition, I'll violently beat up those bastards from Nining Peak. I'll make sure they don't dare to be arrogant again. Aoi said excitedly. At the same time, she slammed her arm on the table, causing the plates, bowls, and chopsticks to jump up. Aoi's actions caused Chu Ning and the others who were eating to jump up in fright. They did not know what was going on. What are you looking at? Sit down and eat. Aoi glared at them, scaring Chu Ning and the others into quickly sitting down. Chapter 121. These bastards are making fun of me. Aoi glanced at Chu Ning and the others and said, 6th Senior Sister can make fun of us? Emochin smiled. Among the 13 second-generation disciples of Yu Yangyu at Taishan Peak, Aoi was the most gentle. Your 6th Senior Sister was so excited that she slammed the table. Young Lei said with a smile. Hee, that must be a rare scene. Emo-chun and Chu Lingfei sat down and said. After eating, Night Sorrow wiped his mouth and looked at Emo-chun. 11th Senior Brother, after eating let's spar. No, I want to drink tea after eating. Emo-chun shook his head. He wasn't willing to spar with Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was like a porcupine. Emo-chun couldn't even take him down with his rank 2 cultivation. Then let's go after drinking tea. Night Sorrow nodded and said. After drinking tea, I still want to take a stroll. Don't wait for me. Emo-chun was a bit annoyed. He didn't want to, but Night Sorrow didn't want to let him go. Hey, listen, your 13th uncle wants to spar with 11th uncle. Your 11th uncle wants to drink tea and take a stroll. Can we wait for a while? Aoi stood up and clapped her hands. I won't take a stroll, okay? Let's go and spar now. After being shouted by Aoi, how could Emo-chan continue to refuse? After exiting the dining room, everyone arrived at the martial arts practice field. 13 Come. I'll let you attack. Emo-chan waved his long sword and said. He knew that attacking was useless. It wasn't easy to break through Night Sorrow's wind-chasing spear technique. It would be difficult to do anything against a short spear. Thus he decided not to attack. Then I'm coming. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and smashed it in front of Emochin. 13. Attack with all your strength. Otherwise, the spar will be meaningless. Yang Lei shouted. Night Sorrow nodded and unleashed his chasing wind spear technique with all his might, attacking Emochin with all his might. Hearing the sound of the reincarnation spear piercing through the air, Emochin's expression changed. He dodged to the side and slashed his sword towards Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. The weapons clashed. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear was blocked, but Emochin's longsword was also blocked. With a flick of his wrist, Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear returned to its original route and continued to attack Emochin. On Emochin's side, he followed his sword. He no longer used his longsword to slash or block because he would receive the recoil from the vibration force of Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. Emochin's longsword continuously stabbed and pointed, controlling Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear to attack. Their weapons continued to clash. It was hard to tell who had the upper hand. Yi Shang's strength was great, but Emochin's true qi, which was at the peak of the second level, was not fake. He could completely negate it, so he was not at a disadvantage. The two began to compete with their body techniques. They circled around each other and attacked. If they couldn't dodge, they would use their weapons to resolve the situation. 13th uncle is too monstrous to be able to fight with 11th martial uncle to this extent. Nangong Dai said with some emotion. Just as Nangong Dai was speaking, the situation changed. 13th uncle, are you cheating? Emochin was pushed back. When Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear clashed with Emochin's longsword, he not only used his strength on the tip of the spear, but also added 39 waves of vibration force. Emochin, who was caught off guard, was pushed back in an instant. After pushing Emochin back, Night Sorrow took a few steps and caught up with Emochin. His reincarnation spear was like a flood dragon that continuously attacked Emochin. Before entering the element gathering realm, Night Sorrow's vibration force was not very stable. When he was in the 6th layer of the refining realm, he could only use a dozen waves. As he cultivated, he became more and more familiar with the vibration force, and the number of waves increased. When he was in the 9th layer of the refining realm, it increased to 27 waves. On average, every increase in cultivation level would increase by 3 waves. When he reached the 1st level of the element gathering realm, it wasn't 30 waves, but 33 waves. Now that he was in the 3rd level of the element gathering realm, he could use 39 waves. After suppressing Emochin, Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear opened and closed, and continuously attacked Emochin's body. The 39 waves of vibration force were sometimes on the body of the spear, sometimes on the tip of the spear, making it impossible for Emochin to defend. Luckily, Emochin had the piercing cloud body technique, so he was able to block it. When the two passed by each other again, Emochin's left hand sent out a palm towards Yi Shang's shoulder. Yi Shang had the same idea as Emochin, so he twisted his body and sent out a Zhenyu palm. 11th uncle, be careful. Seeing the faint red halo on Night Sorrow's left hand, Yang Lei shouted. 7 Original version 9 When Yang Lei shouted, Emochin realized that something was wrong. He quickly increased the amount of Zhen Qi in his palm to receive Night Sorrow's Zhenyu hand. Pung! With a muffled sound, Night Sorrow's body was pushed back 4 or 5 steps, and he sat on the ground. However, he soon stood up, swung his arms, and once again held the spear with both hands. Emochin took a step back and looked down at his left hand. I lost 13, you win. 11 Senior brother, I'm sorry, I was too excited just now. Night Sorrow saw that Emochin's expression was a bit off, and quickly apologized. I don't mean to blame you, but if you want to increase your cultivation level, it's fine to do everything you can in a spar. Just now, I didn't use the cultivation level of the peak of the element gathering realm. Just now, in a moment of desperation, I sent out a palm with the cultivation level of the 3rd level. So in a battle of the 2nd level you won. But to be honest, that really hurt. After speaking, Emo-chan put away his long sword and rubbed his left hand. 11th senior brother, I really didn't do it on purpose. Night Sorrow felt a bit guilty. Not only did he hurt Emo-chan, he also made him lose face. 13 I know what you're thinking. Do you know? I'm happy for your improvement. When you really defeat me, I'll go burn incense to the ancestor, because he gave me a good junior brother. Emo-chan walked over and patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. Senior brother, I understand. Night Sorrow bowed to Emo-chan. He understood that in Emo-chan's heart, the friendship between fellow disciples was more important than his own honor. I'll spar with you, Yanglei said. I'm a bit tired, I'll go rest for a while. Night Sorrow shook his head, and then went back to cultivate. Senior sister, did I do something wrong? Emo-chan asked, rubbing his head. No, it's just that 13 feels guilty. He feels that he hurt your face. In your heart, the friendship between fellow disciples is noble, and in his heart, it's the same, always said. Did you see that? This is brotherhood. You guys have to be the same. Always said to Chu Ning and the others. Night Sorrow went back to cultivate. He just wanted to consolidate his cultivation. After cultivating for a night, Night Sorrow went to the dining room early to eat. Then he went to Sikong Chuyu's pavilion. He really missed Sikong because he could tell Sikong everything. He really wanted to tell Sikong what had happened to him. After staying in Sikong Chuyu's pavilion for a while, Night Sorrow went back to his room. In the dining room, when she didn't see Night Sorrow, Yanglei asked Hai Luo. Chapter 122. In the future, 13 will not spar with us. Yanglei said to Qingji and Emo-chan who had just entered. Everyone knew that what happened yesterday had affected Night Sorrow. Although Emo-chan didn't mind, Night Sorrow didn't want that. In the evening, Night Sorrow came out and drank tea with Aoi and Yanglei. After feeding Tianyu, he went back to cultivate. No one mentioned sparring again. Although it was the fastest way to improve, Night Sorrow didn't want to. Night Sorrow's life was very disciplined. In the morning, he would cultivate spear arts and dragon leap steps. In the afternoon and night, he would cultivate qi and the myriad Tao Tome. Unspecified currency D/D/C new chapter. U0 on Night Sorrow's first day. Two people came to the Longquan courtyard. It was Huanan and Chuling Xiao. Third senior brother, why are you here? Chuling Xiao, what are you doing here? Yanglei, who saw them first, asked. Ninth junior sister, don't worry. Eldest senior brother went to propose a marriage between 11th junior brother and junior sister Ling Fei. Uncle Chu didn't object and arranged for him to handle this matter. Eldest senior brother asked me to handle 11th junior brother's matter. Huanan shook his head at Yanglei. He didn't give Chu Ling Xiao a good look, but he couldn't make things awkward for 11th junior brother. At Taixian Peak, Gongxian and the others knew that Chu Ling Xiao didn't do anything wrong. But whether it was right or wrong, they had to stand on Qingji's side. There was no reason to talk about it because Qingji was wronged, because Qingji was their junior and senior sister. It was that simple. At this time, Aoi came over. Emo-chan and Chu Ling Fei also came. Seeing Chu Ling Xiao, Aoi's face turned cold. She gripped the sword at her waist. Junior sister Aoi, I came here today to deal with my sister Ling Fei's matter, and also to apologize to you. I found someone to inlay the jade pendant. Do you think it's okay? If it doesn't work, I'll go find a master craftsman. Chu Ling Xiao took a few steps forward and arrived in front of Aoi. In his hand was a gold and green jade pendant. It should be said that the outside of the jade pendant was inlaid with gold, and the middle was also wrapped with gold threads. When the jade pendant appeared, Aoi's eyes fell on it. She reached out and took the jade pendant. She recognized it. It was her late mother's relic. Back then, when I was young, I was too nervous and impulsive and destroyed junior sister's jade pendant. This matter has made me feel guilty for many years, and I cherish it. I hope junior sister can forgive me. Chu Ling Xiao cupped his hands towards Aoi. We're even. Aoi gently rubbed the jade pendant as she looked at Chu Ling Xiao. Brother Huanan, let's go in and talk about Emo-chan and Ling Fei. Chu Ling Xiao said to Huanan. Senior brother Chu, please. Huanan extended his arm and said. Before this, Huanan had directly called Chu Lingxiao senior brother. Now that Chu Lingxiao had lowered his status and apologized, Aoi didn't care about it anymore. Chu Ning wanted to greet them, but he didn't have the right to speak, so he could only stand at the back. After entering the hall, Chu Lingxiao, Huanan, Aoi, and Yang Lei sat down. Aoi was still looking at her jade pendant. This is junior brother Night Sorrow. Have a seat. Chu Lingxiao smiled. They were all second-generation disciples, so Chu Lingxiao couldn't let Night Sorrow stand. Night Sorrow nodded and sat down. It wasn't a matter of modesty. A seat was also a matter of face. He didn't care about his own face, but if he stood, he would lose face for Taishan Peak. Sure, Ling Fei, sit down too. What are you nervous about? Yang Lei glanced at Mo Chun and Chu Ling Fei. After everyone sat down, Chu Lingxiao and Huanan discussed the matter of Mo Chun and Chu Ling Fei. First, they asked for their opinions. After Mo Chun and Chu Ling Fei both nodded, they discussed the details. They were all cultivators, so they didn't care about etiquette. They directly decided on a date. After discussing for a while, they set the date for next year's disciple recruitment ceremony, which was less than 4 months away. Chu Lingxiao didn't mention anything about the betrothal gifts. After all, it was Taishan Peak's business. After discussing everything, Chu Lingxiao waved at Chu Ling Fei. Why aren't you going home yet? Are you planning to stay here for a long time? Cousin, I'll go back 2 days later, Chu Ling Fei said with a red face. Okay, but you have to go back as soon as possible. There are some things that aren't good, Chu Lingxiao said. Chu Lingxiao followed Huanan and the others and left. He had only come to set a date and go through the formalities. After the matter was settled, Huanan asked Yishang if there was anything he needed help with. Finally, he took out a bottle of blood circulation pills for healing. He knew that Yishang needed the meridian clearing pill. Yu Yangyu had given Night Sorrow meridian opening pills and muscle revitalization ointment. He could only give him blood circulation pills to treat internal injuries. After chatting, it was time to drink. Yang Lei called Nangong Dai and the other third-generation disciples over. While drinking, Tang Tian's big mouth could not stay still. Chu Ning, your third uncle is very refined and handsome. Of course, I have a few aunts, Chu Ning said proudly. Ninth brother, why are you like this? Are you family? Tang Tian changed the topic. Seventh brother, what do you mean? Chu Ning knew that Tang Tian was up to no good. Isn't that simple? What he means is that you're an embarrassment. Without waiting for Tang Tian to speak, the straightforward Yuan Shizhuang opened his mouth. Although you are my senior brother, you can't insult me like this. Let's see who's better in the martial arts arena. If I don't get beaten up by you, then you've mistaken me for Chu Ning. Chu Ning glared at Tang Tian. Did I say that? Fifth brother said it, okay? Tang Tian pointed at Ma Shizhuang. Seventh Tang, I was just translating your words. How is it my meaning? Ma Shizhuang was a little annoyed. How did things get to him? I said that Chu Ning is more handsome than Master Chu. We don't look like family. Where did you translate it? Tang Tian changed the topic and started to talk about Ma Shizhuang. Seeing them quarrel, Yang Lei laughed. It's good to be young. So what if you're old? Hurry up and find someone to marry. Huanan looked at Yang Lei and said, Haha, third brother, you should solve your own problem first. I've entered the 5th level, and I don't look old. There's no need to rush, Yang Lei said with a smile. Don't use this to hurt people. 6th brother, we have to work harder. Some people are too good at showing off. They mean that we'll be old soon. Huanan looked at Aoi and said, Third senior brother, 13 gave me the face retaining pill. And I also retain my looks forever. Therefore, some people are attacking third senior brother, and not me. Qingji also smiled. Sigh, it's so sad. You guys are so cruel. Huanan shook his head, but his eyes were full of smiles. This was the atmosphere at Taishan Peak. Brothers and sisters could joke around freely. No one would mind. Chapter 123. After Huanan left, Aoi and the others went to ask Nangong Dai, Chu Ning, Tang Tian, and the others who would participate in the sect competition and who would not. After asking, there was only one result. The unanimous opinion was to fight. Either you win or you defeat your opponent. This was what Ma Shizhuang, Nangong Dai, Chu Ning, and the rest of the 12 people wanted to do. Unspecified currency. Most new Chapter 0. Ouyang Lei and Aoi did not ask Night Sorrow, because there was no need to. After stabilizing his cultivation for a few more days, Night Sorrow went into seclusion to break through to the 4th level of element gathering tier. He had stabilized his cultivation enough, and there was no time left. The sect competition was in a few days, and many disciples in the Medicine Valley had rushed back. The sect competition was a wind vane. It meant that if some strong disciples showed up, there would be changes in the Yuan ranking and alchemy ranking. In Taishan Peak, the 3rd generation would all participate in the newcomers competition. In the 2nd generation, Night Sorrow was not the only one who would participate. Huanan, Aoi, and the others would also participate. Yang Lei and Gong Xian entered the 5th level, and there was an empty spot in the Medicine Valley's heaven ranking. Those who had hope would fight for it. Night Sorrow ate half of the spirit congealing pill, and began to break through to the 4th level of element gathering tier. Night Sorrow had experienced breaking through to the next level of element gathering tier a few times. What he needed was the accumulation of energy. Once enough energy was accumulated, breaking through would not be a problem. It was just a matter of time. Aoi and the others started to pack up and leave, but Night Sorrow was nowhere to be seen. Master, young master is cultivating in his room. When I went to clean up, the door was closed. Hai Luo said to Aoi. Then let's wait. This guy has no concept of time when he cultivates, Yang Lei said with a smile. Aoi nodded and told everyone to prepare and wait. 13th uncle is like this. When we came from Scarlet Sun City to Medicine Valley and Danding City in a beast carriage, he would meditate and cultivate. If the carriage did not stop, he would not stop, Tang Tian said. That's why there's such a big difference now. 13th uncle is already in the 3rd level of element gathering tier, but we are still in the 1st and 2nd level. Nangong Dai said with a sigh. The key point is that our starting point is higher than 13th uncle's. Now that 13th uncle's cultivation is higher than ours, we've been cultivating for the past few months for nothing, Ma Shizhuang said angrily. Ma Zhuang, you're all very good. Otherwise our master, your grandmaster, wouldn't have brought you all back to Taishan Peak. In every era, every period, there are geniuses that appear out of nowhere. Your 13th uncle is a monster. You've all seen his cultivation increase. His cultivation speed is fast, but it's definitely not superficial. His main point is his fighting ability, which is also what you should work towards. His fighting ability must surpass his current level, which is the embodiment of an excellent cultivator. High cultivation but low fighting ability is a sign of low ability, said Qingji. She was also afraid that Yi Shang would discourage this group of children. We understand. Thank you for your explanation, 6th Martial Ant. Nangong Dai and the others bowed. The increase in cultivation is important, but battle prowess is the foundation. There is a limit to the increase in cultivation, but there is no limit to battle prowess. There is a bottleneck to the increase in cultivation, but battle prowess can be continuously increased. Think about my words, Yang Lei said to everyone. Night Sorrow only came out at noon. 4th level of element gathering tier? Chu Ning's expression changed. Night Sorrow's cultivation had increased too quickly. The strongest among the 12 of them was in the 2nd level of element gathering tier. Without reaching the 3rd level of element gathering tier, they could not use the origin gathering pill, so their cultivation had been pulled down by Night Sorrow. 13th uncle is not bad. This should be enough, Emo Chun said excitedly. He now believed that even if Su Mu was heaven-defying, it would be difficult for him to defeat Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow casually tidied up a little, and everyone left. Aoi, Yang Lei, and Emo Chun all led a few others to ride on the Blue Condor. Night Sorrow himself rode on the Tianyu. Just now, Chu Ning had wanted to ride on the Tianyu with Night Sorrow, but the Tianyu had immediately attacked, not giving them any face at all. After half a day's time, the group returned to Taishan Peak. Night Sorrow wanted to return to Bamboo Forest Peak, but was stopped by Aoi. She had Night Sorrow stay in Bamboo Forest Little House. She was worried that Night Sorrow would not be able to take care of himself, because in Bamboo Forest Peak, Night Sorrow lived alone. His servants were also further away from him, so it would not be as convenient as staying with her. Night Sorrow did not refuse. He indeed needed to consolidate his cultivation, and did not have time to deal with trivial matters. Aoi had servants and servants, so it would be more convenient. After washing up in Bamboo Forest's little house, Night Sorrow first went to Repose Cliff to pay a visit to Yu Yangyu. When he saw Night Sorrow, Yu Yangyu carefully sized him up, then nodded in satisfaction. Master has just learned about your recent situation from your 9th senior sister. You have worked very hard and achieved great results. Just do your best in the sect competition. Nining Peak might disregard everything to raise Sumu's cultivation, so you will be at a disadvantage. Disciple understands. Night Sorrow understood that Yu Yangyu was worried about him. This is Master's Cloud Suiyin Movement Technique Manual. Take a look and feel the advantages and disadvantages of your current movement technique. Yu Yangyu handed a manual to Night Sorrow. Yu Yangyu already knew that Night Sorrow had a movement technique manual. After accompanying Yu Yangyu for a while, Night Sorrow returned to Bamboo Forest's little house. After returning, Night Sorrow took out the Cloud Suiyin Movement Technique Manual and began to read it. This was a movement technique manual that could only be cultivated at the mid-second rank. Looking through it, he found that Cloud Suiyin was a bit inferior to Dragon Soar to the 9 heavens. In terms of description and essence, Night Sorrow noticed a difference. Night Sorrow still cultivated it. He wanted to comprehend the concept of Cloud Suiyin. That way, he would be able to cultivate Dragon Soar to the 9 heavens with half the effort. After cultivating the movement technique, Night Sorrow went to meditate. He began to eat the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill. His cultivation base in the 2nd rank of the muscle strengthening realm of the Myriad Dao Tome was already very stable. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, Medicine Valley was bustling with activity. The disciples of the various peaks had all returned. Some of them wanted to participate in the competition for the Yuan rankings, while others wanted to fight for the pill rankings. There were also 4th rank 2nd generation disciples who wanted to participate in the heaven rankings. However, the heaven rankings were held internally. Outsiders didn't know about it. This was Medicine Valley's secret. Grass Valley Town was also bustling with activity. All the subordinate powers of Medicine Valley had come. They wanted to know who the new nobles of Medicine Valley were. They couldn't afford to offend them. Furthermore, there were still 3 months until the next disciple recruitment ceremony. There were many people who had come early. On this day, while Night Sorrow was cultivating, Huanan brought someone over. It was Qin Jun of the North Pole. "Why are you here? Have you been well this past year?" asked Night Sorrow. He saw that Qin Jun had reached the 9th rank of Qi refining. "I've been well. I came to see you. Back then, if it weren't for you, it would have been very difficult for me to enter the ranks of cultivators. I'm very grateful to you. After I break through, I'll focus on my breakthrough," said Qin Jun to Night Sorrow. He spoke a bit slowly, as if he wasn't used to interacting with others. Chapter 124. Yes, you are my friend. Qin Jun nodded vigorously. Seeing that the two were having a good chat, Huanan left. He also hoped that Night Sorrow would have more friends. The people of the North Pole Peak were all upright and did not engage in any underhanded practices, so he was more at ease. Qin Jun was not used to communicating, so Night Sorrow did not speak much to him. He took out a jar of wine and 2 wine bowls and began drinking. After finishing the jar of wine, Qin Jun extended his hand to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow also extended his hand and shook Qin Jun's hand. After nodding at Night Sorrow, Qin Jun turned and left. Yi Shang sat on the bluestone. He opened another jug of wine and drank slowly. Actually, Yi Shang had already regarded Qin Jun as a friend a long time ago. On the way from Redfire City to Danding City, Qin Shang had stood by his side when he clashed with Qin Hai. At that time, Yi Shang had acknowledged Qin Jun as a person, but there were some things that he hadn't said. "What's wrong? Are you unhappy that your friend is here?" Huanan walked over and poured himself a bowl of wine. "No, I'm just wondering why the people from the same family are so different. He did not say anything, but he was insistent. His two brothers are different, Night Sorrow said. Of course people are different. Isn't there an old saying that the dragon has 9 sons, and each of them is different? Huan Nan said with a smile. I understand, third senior brother. You will definitely be able to enter the heaven list this time. Night Sorrow looked at Huan Nan and said, Not necessarily. I have been cultivating for decades. I admit that I am very hardworking, but my talent is not good enough. Therefore, there is a gap between me and your other senior brothers and sisters. Huan Nan shook his head. But big senior brother said that your foundation is the most solid. Night Sorrow said. A long time ago, when Gong Xian had asked Night Sorrow to cultivate steadily, he had used Huan Nan as an example. Night Sorrow also knew that among Yu Yongyu's disciples, other than the most talented Yang Lei and Gong Xian, the strongest was Huan Nan. This was because Huan Nan could endure hardships and had the most perseverance. Maybe that friend of yours is pretty good. His future achievements won't be low. He's very talented, but I don't know why he's only at the 9th level of qi refining. Huan Nan said, somewhat puzzled. Just like me, he started cultivating not too long ago. Back then there was a problem with his body, so he couldn't cultivate. He started cultivating this year, Night Sorrow said. No wonder. His cultivation speed is amazing. Huan Nan understood the key point. After chatting with Night Sorrow for a while, Huan Nan left. Night Sorrow finished the entire jar of wine before returning to his residence. After returning to his residence, Night Sorrow cultivated the windborne body technique for a while. Then he went to his room to meditate. After Night Sorrow finished cultivating, Aoi brought him 2 sets of robes. You can wear whatever you want, but the sect competition is the day after tomorrow. You have to wear something more formal. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. Although he liked to wear casual linen robes, he had to wear the Medicine Valley's disciple robe on formal occasions. After cultivating for another 2 days, Night Sorrow woke up early because today was the day of the Medicine Valley's Disciples Sect competition. After putting on the white Medicine Valley's disciple robe, Night Sorrow went to Aoi's loft to wait for her. What's the hurry? It's still early. Have some breakfast first. Aoi patted Night Sorrow's shoulder and said, I'm a little nervous. Night Sorrow told her the truth. It's okay. No one is your match in the competition among the newcomers. That beast doll won't be able to do anything. Aoi put her arm around Night Sorrow's shoulder and walked towards the dining room. I'm not afraid of losing. I'm just a little nervous. I think I should say excited, Night Sorrow said. It's okay. Senior sister is here. Night Sorrow, you've grown a lot taller. You're almost the same height as senior sister, Aoi said as she put her arm around Night Sorrow's shoulder. Aoi and Yang Lei were both tall and not much shorter than ordinary men. Night Sorrow was still short when he came to the Medicine Valley. After cultivating for half a year, especially after cultivating the myriad Tao Tome and strengthening his body, he had grown 4 to 5 inches. I'm already 16 years old. If I don't grow taller, I'll be too short. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Weren't you 14 years old when you came to the Medicine Valley? Aoi asked in surprise. But I was 15 then. I'll be 16 soon. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Yeah. It's been almost a year. 13, you've grown up too. Aoi was a little emotional. Although she didn't go to the Medicine Valley's disciple recruitment ceremony, she knew about Night Sorrow's situation at the ceremony. After eating, the two came to the Taishian Hall. There were already many people in front of the hall. Yu Yongyu had 12 second-generation disciples and 12 third-generation disciples. However, there were also many second-generation disciples from the other elders. Some of them went to watch the ceremony while others went to participate in the competition. After a while, Yu Yongyu came out of the hall and said, It's still the same as last year. We, Taishian Peak, are not afraid of losing. We just have to fight with style. Yi Shang sat on Qingji's green condor and rushed towards the square of the mountain gate of the Medicine Valley. Lu Yongyu didn't ride a flying demonic beast, but with a sway of his body he could cover a great distance, much faster than a flying demonic beast. 13. Did you know that for many years, Master hasn't participated in this kind of competition? He also hasn't participated in the disciple recruitment ceremony. This time, he's paying extra attention. It's mainly because of you, Qingji said to Yishang. I won't let Master down. Night Sorrow nodded. Soon, they arrived at the gate square. After arriving, Aoi Yanglei and the others took Night Sorrow to the Taishan Peak seats. When they arrived, Yu Yangyu was already sitting in the armchair in front of the Taishan Peak seats. There were some differences between the sect competition and the sect disciple recruitment ceremony. The sect disciple recruitment ceremony was open to the public. It didn't have much to do with the peaks. There were only a few seats for representatives. The sect competition was different. Each peak had their own area and the audience was in another area. Fortunately, the Medicine Valley's gate square was big enough to accommodate tens of thousands of people. In the past, the armchair in front of the Taishan Peak was empty, because Yu Yangyu didn't come. This time, when Yu Yangyu appeared, the other peak masters nodded and greeted him. However, there was also a cold snort. Night Sorrow looked in the direction of the voice, and saw an old man in a black robe. Old Ghost, you're here this year too? The black-robed old man said. If Nine Peaks Suchimbai can come, why can't I Yu Yangyu come? Yu Yangyu replied indifferently. Aha! I heard that you accepted a disciple. Old Ghost, I wonder how your disciple compares to my disciple? Suchimbai turned his head and looked at a young man behind him. Night Sorrow also looked over. He knew that this young man was his opponent, Su Mu. So what if you want to play tricks? My Taishan Peak will accept whatever you want. Yu Yangyu said bluntly. Chapter 125. Head Hair. What's the point of talking so much? If talking is useful, then there is no need for us to cultivate primary energy or combat skills. We can just fight with our mouths. Yu Yangyu said disdainfully. As if you are invincible. Su Chimbai snorted coldly. Then you're invincible? Come, let's liven up the atmosphere of this sect grand competition on this arena. Yu Yangyu stood up and looked at Su Chimbai. Yu Yangyu had kept a low profile for decades. He did not compete with anyone, nor did he fight with anyone. This time, he was not going to tolerate it anymore. He understood that if Su Chimbai took over, then the Taishan Peak would not have an easy time. He knew Su Chimbai too well. Although Su Chimbai couldn't do anything to Yu Yangyu, he could still attack Taishan Peak. This was the power of the sect and the authority of the Valley Master. Just as Su Chimbai's expression was gloomy, and he was deciding whether to fight or not, a hemp-robed elder and a few other elders appeared. The appearance of the old man in sackcloth made all the members of Medicine Valley stand up. All right, today is a competition between the younger generation. Don't take up any more time. The hemp-robed old man went straight to the front of Danding Peak and sat down. Because there was an empty chair there, the other old men sat on his left and right sides. As the old man waved his hand, the members of the Medicine Valley all sat down. Of course, those who could sit down were the second-generation disciples of the various peaks. Glancing at Su Chimbai, Yu Yangyu sat down. 13. Did you know that in the past only 2 or 3 elders would show up? This time, even the Grand Elder is here. Aoi whispered to Night Sorrow. North Pole, you're the host this year, right? It's about time to start. As Qingji and Yishang were whispering to each other, the first elder made the arrangements. Let's go. The first elder said to the North Pole Peak Lord Yen Bei. Okay. Yen Beifong stood up and came over. This time, it was the North Pole Peak's turn to host the Great Sect competition, and his assistant was Chu Ling Xiao. Chu Ling Xiao was the eldest disciple of Danding Peak, the main peak of the Medicine Valley. He was also the disciple of the Valley Master. Other than his low qualifications, his ability in other aspects was obvious to all. However, these 2 aspects blocked his path to promotion. Many disciples of the Medicine Valley knew that it was only a matter of time before Chu Lingxiao rose to the top of the Medicine Valley. Because he had the ability. With Yen Beiji's nod, Chu Lingxiao went on stage to announce the rules and rewards of the rookie battle. There were more than 200 people participating in this year's rookie competition. Originally, there were only about 20 rookies, but there were more outer sect disciples. The rules of the arena were that no poison was allowed, no hidden weapons were allowed, and no attacks were allowed when the opponent admitted defeat. No killing was allowed. The rules of the competition were that the top 10 would be decided by drawing lots. Then it would be a round-robin battle. It would be a round-robin battle based on points. Night Sorrow took out 2 heaven-piercing thatches and pinned them to his waist before going to draw lots. This was what Aoi had told him. If he took them out and put them on the stage, they wouldn't be considered hidden weapons. After getting his number, Night Sorrow returned to his original seat. Aoi took a look at Night Sorrow's number, and her face was full of excitement. What number? Shi Tianlin asked. He didn't ask his own disciple, but looked at Night Sorrow. He knew that his disciple Su Feng and the others wouldn't be able to defeat Su Mu. Su Mu's cultivation level had reached the 8th level of element gathering tier. This was unique in the rookie competition. The others didn't even have someone in the 5th level of element gathering tier. 13. Aoi said. I'm asking what number 13 is? Shi Tianlin asked again. He was very concerned about this number because those who started the battle were more outstanding. If they met an opponent of equal strength, they would have time to rest and recover after the battle. Didn't I tell you? 13, wasn't I clear enough? Aoi grabbed Night Sorrow's number and showed it to Shi Tianlin. The number on the number plate was surprisingly 13. That works too. Shi Tianlin was stunned. After drawing lots, Chu Lingxiao announced the start of the competition. First was the battle between number 1 and number 2. This was a battle between 2 outer sect disciples. Their cultivation levels were both in the 9th level of Qi refining tier, and they competed in battle experience. The outer sect disciple from the North Pole Peak won. Apart from Night Sorrow and the other 26 people who participated in the competition, everyone else was an outer sect disciple. The highest cultivation level an outer sect disciple could reach was the peak of Qi refining tier. However, there was a time difference in between. Even if an outer sect disciple reached the element gathering tier, they would still have to wait until the annual disciple recruitment ceremony to become an inner sect disciple. Thus, many outer sect disciples with element gathering tier cultivation appeared in the rookie competition. One battle followed another. On the 6th battle, Su Mu stepped onto the stage. He was number 11. Looking at the Cloud Sea Peak disciple who stepped onto the stage, Su Mu bared his teeth and let out a wolf-like howl. While the Cloud Sea Peak disciple on the other side was astonished, Su Mu moved. Like a ferocious beast, he punched the Cloud Sea Peak disciple off the stage. Looking at the Cloud Sea Peak disciple whose chest had caved in, Night Sorrow understood that this injury was serious. His chest bones were broken, and his internal organs were also heavily injured. Su Chenbai, take care of your disciple. The peak master of Cloud Sea Peak, Duan Lei, stood up and roared. His skills are inferior. What's there to say? Su Chenbai said indifferently. Using such a heavy hand in a competition between disciples of the same sect? Duan Lei's face was filled with anger. Su Mu could easily defeat this Cloud Sea Peak disciple who was only in the 1st level of element gathering tier. Yet he still used such a heavy hand. It's a competition on the stage. There are winners and losers. Peak Master Duan, there's no need to be so angry, Jin Kan, who was Su Chenbai's friend, said. Su Mu only used one move, and he didn't attack when his opponent was defeated or admitted defeat. This is completely in accordance with the rules, right? Su Chenbai said again. Seeing that the great elder in linen clothes didn't say anything, Yan Beiji signaled that the next round could begin. When number 13 was called, Night Sorrow walked to the front of the stage and handed his card to Chu Lingxiao. The other Blue Rock Peak outer disciple also handed his card to Chu Lingxiao. Chu Lingxiao placed their cards on the table in front of him. On one side of the table was a bucket filled with cards. The winner's card would be written with their name and thrown into the bucket. The next round would be drawing lots. If 2 people were drawn, they would fight against each other randomly. Taishan Peak Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow waved the reincarnation spear in his hand and announced his name. Blue Rock Peak Chunhee. The Blue Rock Peak Outer disciple said. He was in the second level of Element Gathering tier. He didn't break through to Element Gathering tier recently. He entered Element Gathering tier not long after Night Sorrow, and the others entered Medicine Valley. Let the competition begin, Chu Lingxiao said. Hearing Chu Lingxiao's words, Chen He waved his battle saber and slashed at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow didn't move. He raised his right arm, and the reincarnation spear pierced directly at Chen He's chest. Chen He exerted force with his right arm and slashed at the reincarnation spear. Ding! Chapter 126. Chen He's expression changed. He had never imagined that his full-powered attack would not be able to move Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear at all. I lost. Chen He took a few steps back and said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow waved his right hand and put away his reincarnation spear. He then bowed slightly to Chu Lingxiao. Night Sorrow wins this match. Chu Lingxiao wrote Night Sorrow's name on the number 13 and put it into the bucket. At this moment, there were 7 tokens in the bucket. Night Sorrow walked down the arena. When he passed by the main peak seating area, Night Sorrow bowed to the Great Elder, who was wearing hemp clothes. The Great Elder smiled and nodded. When he reached the Taishan Peak, Night Sorrow bowed to Yu Yangyu again before returning to his seat. Just as he sat down, Night Sorrow felt someone looking at him. Following his intuition, Night Sorrow turned to look. He saw Sumu. When Sumu noticed Night Sorrow looking at him, he bared his teeth and made a throat-slitting gesture at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow only smiled casually. He knew that there was no point in trying to show off. This bastard. Aoi followed Night Sorrow's gaze and saw Sumu's gesture. 6 senior sister, can I apply for a death match in the arena? Night Sorrow asked. Sumu's constant provocation made Night Sorrow want to kill him. You can apply, but it's hard to say if it will be approved, Aoi said. 13. Don't let others affect your mood. Gong Xian turned his head and reminded Night Sorrow. Su Feng, you're number 78? Ma Shizhuang exclaimed. Yes, number 78. Why? Shi Tianlin's disciple, Su Feng said. I'm number 77. Ma Shizhuang said as he flipped open his token. What is this? Su Feng's face turned blue when he saw Ma Shizhuang's sign. Among the third-generation disciples under Yu Yangyu at Taishan Peak, Ma Shizhuang was the strongest, followed by Chu Ning and Tang Tian. If Su Feng were to meet Ma Shizhuang, he would have to go home after this competition. It's nothing. This is just a competition. Don't take it too seriously. Shi Tianlin glanced at Su Feng and said. The battle continued. From time to time, the disciples of Taishan Peak would go up, and they would always emerge victorious. The first defeat was Qiu Jing, the disciple of Night Sorrow's 5th senior brother, Lu Peng. He lost to Qian Yin from the main peak. Qian Yin was Chu Lingxiao's disciple, and was one of the 26 people selected for this year's apprenticeship ceremony. The two were originally evenly matched, but in the end, because Qian Yin was a bit faster, Qiu Jing was defeated. Don't mind him. He has a special bloodline. Gong Xian comforted Qiu Jing. Yes, I didn't expect to miss out on such a good seedling. Yu Yangyu nodded. At the last moment, Qian Yin's speed had increased, and his face had turned pale. This was a sign that he had used the power of his bloodline. Su Feng against Ma Shizhuang. He didn't give up like everyone expected. Instead, he fought seriously. This wasn't something that would happen to disciples from other peaks. Master, aren't they just letting outsiders benefit by fighting like this? Nangong Dai asked her master, Huan Nan. Yes, but Su Feng's performance was very good. Fighting like this is a form of respect for Ma Shizhuang, and also a form of respect for himself, Huan Nan said. We Taishan Peak disciples must be unyielding. We can't lose our fighting spirit at any time. You must remember this. Gong Xian said to the Taishan Peak disciples. Nangong Dai and the others bowed. She now understood that her thinking was wrong. Su Feng could choose not to fight, but that would be an insult to Ma Shizhuang. It would also be a waste of his year of hard work. When you meet Sumu later, just admit defeat, Gong Xian added. Nangong Dai, Ma Shizhuang, and the others were stunned by Gong Xian's words. This was because Gong Xian's words were contradictory. This is an order from your elders. It's different from your own attitude. Just listen to your elders' orders, Huan Nan said. You don't understand, right? Because your 13th uncle is here, you don't need to fight to the death. Taishan Peak's reputation won't be lost. Also, you're fighting that idiot now. It's not unyielding, it's reckless, Yang Lei said. Su Mu had been provoking them. In Yang Lei's eyes, he had dropped from a beast child to an idiot. I really want to kill him, Ma Shizhuang said through gritted teeth. You're not the only one who wants to kill him. Your 13th uncle wants to as well. Aoi lifted her chin in Night Sorrow's direction. 13th uncle, are you afraid he'll hurt them? Yang Lei said, pointing at Chu Ning and the others. On one hand, I think he's a scourge, Night Sorrow said. Master, what's that guy's cultivation level? Nangong Dai asked. 8th level of element gathering tier. Huan Nan glanced at Su Mu and said, Don't worry. 13th uncle can take care of him. Nangong Dai said, waving her arms. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Tang Tian, Chu Ning, and the others also waved their arms, expressing their opinions. You have so much confidence in your 13th uncle? Gong Xian asked with a smile. And we all have confidence in 13th uncle. Nangong Dai nodded seriously. The smile on her face had disappeared. You don't understand. This guy has lived with demonic beasts since he was young. Not only is he violent, but he's also very talented. He's said to have copper skin and iron bones, and has extraordinary strength. Plus, his cultivation level is much higher than yours. He's very difficult to deal with, Wu Qi said. He was still worried about Night Sorrow. Don't worry, second senior brother. I can do it, Night Sorrow said, expressing his opinion. While they were chatting, Su Feng lost. After all, in terms of cultivation level, he was much lower than Ma Shizhuang. Ma Shizhuang was already close to the peak of the 2nd level of element gathering tier. Battle after battle continued. Night Sorrow watched at first, intending to see the strengths of others. However, he soon gave up. Very few people used battle techniques, and there weren't many battle techniques. They all relied on their cultivation level and instincts to fight. 2 hours passed, and the first round ended. Half of the people were eliminated. Qiu Jing and Su Feng from Taishan Peak were eliminated. Next came the 2nd round. Chu Ling Xiao shook the lot bucket a few times, then put it aside. He then called for an elite disciple from the main peak to draw lots. This was to prevent any suspicion of cheating. The disciples from Taishan Peak went up one by one. The ones they met were all outer sect disciples from other peaks. These outer sect disciples' cultivation levels had kept up, but their weakness was that they weren't talented enough. They didn't have a master or anyone to guide them. Their strength was that their cultivation levels were more solid. These outer sect disciples couldn't be compared to the 3rd-generation disciples from Taishan Peak. The 3rd-generation disciples from Taishan Peak all successfully advanced. Night Sorrow sat steadily. Su Mu didn't go up on stage either. He was looking forward to fighting Su Mu. Then the disciples from Taishan Peak would have one less huge threat. After Ma Shizhuang was called up to the stage, Chu Ling Xiao called out another name, Taishan Peak's Nangong Dai. Chapter 127. After hearing Su Feng's words, Gong Xian and the others laughed. Gong Xian and the others didn't care about this kind of battle. They only cared about the Taishan Peak getting first place. After Nangong Dai got on the stage, she took out her long sword and nodded at Ma Yazhuang. Senior sister, I'm sorry. Ma Yazhuang slightly bowed. Come, let's treat this as a spar to determine the victor. Nangong Dai smiled and made her move. On the stage, the two moved around and started to attack each other. Nangong Dai's advantage was her speed, while Ma Yazhuang's cultivation was deep. His attacks were heavy and powerful, relying on strength to break through technique. After fighting for a while, Ma Yazhuang found an opportunity and used his battle blade to knock Nangong Dai's longsword aside. The blade stopped in front of Nangong Dai, and then retreated. Yes, this Taishan Peak's youngsters are all very outstanding. Second Elder Qian Wu, who was sitting beside the hemp-clothed old man, said, "Indeed, a group of outstanding seedlings." The great elder nodded. After Ma Yuzhuang and Nangong Dai got off the stage, Chu Lingxiao called for Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow carried the reincarnation spear and walked onto the stage. He cupped his hands towards Chu Lingxiao and then stood at the side of the stage, waiting for his opponent. What disappointed Night Sorrow was that his opponent wasn't Su Mu, but a disciple of the Tianyue Peak called Kong Jun. Night Sorrow had seen him before. Back when Ao Lai was looking for trouble with him, Kong Jun and Qin Hai were by his side. His impression of the disciples of the Tianyue Peak was very bad. When Chu Lingxiao called for the battle to begin, Night Sorrow's feet shook and his body soared into the air. The reincarnation spear smashed down towards Kong Jun's head. Kong Jun exerted strength in his feet and retreated. He planned to wait for Night Sorrow's attack to miss and attack when his strength was exhausted. As Kong Jun retreated, Night Sorrow exerted strength in his waist and his legs fiercely swung backwards. His body pounced forward and closed the distance between him and Kong Jun. His spear still smashed towards Kong Jun's head. Seeing this scene, Kong Jun's expression changed and he quickly blocked with his longsword. Crack! With a crisp sound, the web between Kong Jun's thumb and index finger on his right hand was ruptured, and the longsword in his hand was broken. His body went limp and he half knelt on the ground. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear stopped half an inch above his head. Seeing this scene, many people heaved a sigh of relief. Everyone was worried that Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to hold back and would smash Kong Jun's head open. "You lost?" Night Sorrow asked. Kong Jun's left hand held the split webbing between his thumb and forefinger on his right hand, and he nodded with an ugly expression on his face. He was already in the peak period of the third level of element gathering tier. He had originally thought that he would be able to stand out in the sect competition, and that Luo Daoyuan would accept him as a disciple. However, he had not even been able to withstand a single blow from Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow wins on the 13th. Chu Lingxiao threw Night Sorrow's number into another bucket. That was the number that qualified him to continue fighting. Carrying the reincarnation spear, Night Sorrow returned to his seat. 13th uncle is so domineering. Su Feng gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up. Kong Jun was already very strong. It could even be said that Nangong Dai, Su Feng, and the others were no match for him. However, against Night Sorrow, he only needed a single blow. "I was really afraid that you would kill him with that spear," Emochan said. He knew that Kong Jun had been an accomplice to the evildoer, and had followed Ao Lai to find trouble with Night Sorrow. He was worried that Night Sorrow would take revenge on him. "It's not that bad. There's no deep hatred between us." Night Sorrow shook his head. After a while, Su Mu went up on stage. He once again used a heavy blow and injured a disciple of Danding Peak. In this year's newcomer competition, the outcome had already been decided. The first place would either be Night Sorrow or Su Mu. However, the two of them had completely different styles. Night Sorrow was firm and domineering, while Su Mu was cold and vicious. Chu Lingxiao's expression turned ugly. Everyone understood the situation. "Su Qinbai, you could fight for your reputation, but you couldn't send a lunatic to injure others. Su Mu, know your limits. You have to respect your opponent." Yan Beiji said. "My opponent is in the top 10 of the Yuan roll." Su Mu snorted. This caused the disciple of Danding Peak who was injured by Su Mu to spit out blood. This was an insult. This was looking down on him. Su Mu meant that he wasn't even a match for him. "WW first." "Humph." Yan Beiji snorted. The battles continued. With every round, the number of people was reduced by half. The disciples of Taishian Peak did not meet Su Mu. Their opponents were all outer sect disciples. The unlucky Jiang Mingshi, Shichong, Qi Yun, and Shen Rong were eliminated. Jiang Ziming and Shichong met their own people from Taishian Peak. One met Chu Ning, while the other met Tang Tian. They could only spar and lose. Shen Rong was defeated by Qin Hai. Qin Hai was now at the peak of third level of element gathering tier. Needless to say, he had taken the origin strengthening pill. Qi Yun and Qi Shi lost to Tandong, a disciple of Yun Hai Peak. Tandong was in the same batch as them. At noon, the names of the top 10 were out. Taishian Peak had 6 people, Night Sorrow Chu Ning, Tang Tian Ma Zhuang Ning Cheng and Cheng Jiang. Nangong Dai Su Feng, Jiang Ziming, and Shichong were defeated by their own people. Qiu Jing lost to Qian Yin of Danding Peak, Shen Rong lost to Qin Hai, and Qi Yun lost to Tandong. This was the current situation of Taixian Peak. During this year's disciple recruitment ceremony, Yu Yangyu brought back 13 people. Excluding Night Sorrow, there were still 12 people left. Mo Chen did not accept any disciples. Back then, Gong Xian received the order to arrange one disciple for each of his juniors besides Night Sorrow, Chu Ning and Tang Tian. However, the extra one was given to the second disciple, Wu Qi. Under Yu Yangyu's disciples at Taixian Peak, only Gong Xian and Wu Qi were dual disciples. Next, it was time to draw lots. The remaining 10 people each had 1 point. 1 point would be added for every win, and none for every loss. Whoever had the highest number of points would be the champion. The first match was between Night Sorrow and Tandong. Tandong bowed to Yishang and directly admitted defeat. After watching a few of Yishang's battles, Tandong knew that he wasn't Yishang's match, so he simply admitted defeat to preserve his strength. The second match was between Cheng Jiang and Su Mu. Cheng Jiang also admitted defeat. Coward Yu Yangyu, are these your disciples from Taixian Peak? Su Chenbai asked. Enough. Medicine Valley's 12 peaks are bound together for good or ill. Why are you belittling the other peaks? Before Yu Yangyu could speak, the second elder, Qian Wu, spoke up. His face was full of unhappiness. He clearly did not agree with Su Chenbai's actions. Su Chenbai was stunned and did not speak. He did not expect Qian Wu to speak at this time. Most of the following battles forfeited. Knowing that there was no chance of winning, there was no point in fighting to the death. In the middle, Tang Tian and Chu Ning fought once. Their cultivation and power were about the same. In fact, it was just a spar. In the end, Chu Ning won by using his family's battle technique. Old Nine, you're too shameless. Before leaving the stage, Tang Tian still looked at Chu Ning with disdain. After 5 battles in the first round, there was a break. Next was the second round. When the lots were drawn, those who met each other would be redrawn. There would not be a second battle. In the second round, Qin Hai was the first to go on stage. Then Chu Ling Xiao called out Night Sorrow's name. Seeing that it was Night Sorrow, Qin Hai's expression changed. Chapter 128. After listening to Night Sorrow's words, Yang Lei laughed. With that kind of trash, he dares to bully 13th uncle. What a joke. He kicked 13th uncle in the past, and almost caused 13th uncle to fail in the disciple recruitment ceremony. Now that retribution is here, he will die a horrible death. Although they were both from Red Flame City, Tang Tian did not like Qin Hai and Qin Shan. Qin Hai's facial expression was very interesting. His muscles twitched. No one knew if he was going to fight or admit defeat. After thinking for a while, Qin Hai spun the long sword in his right hand and held it in a reverse grip. Then he bowed towards Night Sorrow. Just when everyone thought that Qin Hai was admitting defeat, Qin Hai's left hand slapped the hilt of the sword in his right hand. The long sword in his right hand flashed a ray of light and shot towards Night Sorrow. You're courting death. Yang Lei stood up and roared. Aoi also stood up. She was also very excited, but she still held on to Yang Lei. Night Sorrow took a step sideways and dodged Qin Hai's long sword. At this time, Qin Hai rushed forward and entered the range of the reincarnation spear. His left arm blocked the attack path of the reincarnation spear, and his right fist smashed towards Night Sorrow's chest. Night Sorrow did not move from his original position. He raised his left hand and slapped towards Qin Hai's right fist. The moment he slapped, a faint red energy circle appeared on Night Sorrow's palm. Bang! A muffled sound rang out, followed by blood and flesh flying. Qin Hai's right arm was directly shattered by Night Sorrow's palm. After shattering Qin Hai's arm, Night Sorrow did not continue to attack. Instead, he looked at Qin Hai coldly. Too vicious. Is there a need to be so heavy-handed in a competition between fellow disciples? When Qin Hai's right arm was shattered and he staggered backwards, Jinkan stood up and roared loudly. Brother! Brother! Is there a need to launch a sneak attack in a competition between fellow disciples? Can you be a little more shameless? Cloud Sea Peak's Peak Master Duan Lei said. Martial uncle. Chu Lingxiao looked at Yan Bei. He really couldn't stop Jin Kan and Duan Lei from fighting. Qin Hai launched a sneak attack first. Night Sorrow defended himself after that. He did not violate any rules. Night Sorrow wins. Go and rest. Yan Bei ignored Jin Kan and Duan Lei and ended the dispute. Night Sorrow withdrew his reincarnation spear and left the stage. He let out a sigh of relief in his heart. Why did he let out a sigh of relief? He was really worried that Qin Hai would admit defeat. If that happened, it would be very difficult for him to vent his anger. After returning to his seat, Night Sorrow sat down. 13. How domineering. Quickly recover and wait for the next battle, Yang Lei said as she patted Yi Shan's shoulder. Night Sorrow nodded and began to close his eyes to replenish the energy he had expended. In fact, he hadn't expended much energy. Qin Hai was too weak, so he couldn't disperse the energy vortex on his left hand. Behind Jin Kan, Luo Daoyuan, Qin Zhan, and the others had ugly expressions. Luo Daoyuan had already promised to help Qin Hai enter the sect after the disciple recruitment ceremony. However, Qin Hai had lost an arm. How could he enter the sect? Qin Zhan's expression changed because Qin Hai was his younger brother. Qin Hai had been crippled by Night Sorrow, so he was naturally angry. On the North Pole Peak, Qin Zhan looked at Qin Hai with a strange expression. There was pity and disdain in his eyes. In the following battles, if they didn't admit defeat, they would spar on the stage. After this round, Yan Beiji announced a 30-minute break. After the 30-minute break, Yan Beiji called for Su Mu. At this moment, Su Mu and Night Sorrow had won twice. Chu Lingxiao picked Chu Ning from the lot that didn't battle with him. Chu Ning smiled and went up the stage. He looked at Chu Lingxiao and said, "Martial uncle, let me stretch my muscles before we begin." After speaking, Chu Ning stretched his neck and occasionally kicked his legs and shook his arms. He also glanced at Night Sorrow from time to time. Su Mu stuck out his tongue and licked the corner of his mouth. No matter what you do, the result won't change. Chu Ning, if you don't prepare yourself, then I'll take it as you forfeit. Chu Lingxiao's face was a bit red. Chu Ning was too embarrassing. The Chu family had never produced such a person. Okay, I'm ready. I've thought about it and decided to forfeit. When Su Mu was about to make a move, Chu Ning forfeited. After forfeiting, Chu Ning didn't immediately leave the stage. He stretched out his hand and flicked the non-existent dust off his robe. He even tidied up his hair that wasn't messy at all. Only then did he slowly walk down the stage. 11th Martial Uncle. Do you think I'm elegant enough? Chu Ning said when he arrived beside Emo Chun. Very good. In our Taishian Peak, other than me, you're the only one, Emo Chun said with a smile. His words made everyone blush. Chu Ning was embarrassing enough, but Emo Chun, who had always kept a low profile, said such words. He was too shameless. Because the two of them were talking, they didn't lower their voices, so everyone heard it. Cough cough. Chu Ning, quickly sit back down. Gong Xian couldn't bear it anymore. This Chu Ning was completely different from the Taishian Peak. However, he also knew that Chu Ning was trying to buy time for Night Sorrow to recover. Everyone knew the might of the heaven-covering hand, but they also knew its drawbacks. It was a huge consumption of qi. Striking out with a palm would consume most of one's qi. This was common knowledge. Therefore, Chu Ning didn't know that Night Sorrow didn't consume much qi. When Chu Ning returned, Night Sorrow also opened his eyes. Thank you. Actually, I didn't consume much qi. Chu Ning nodded towards Night Sorrow. 13th Uncle, you're too polite. I was just playing. I was very happy playing with him. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yu Yangyu, who was drinking tea, trembled. He was even a bit worried that the Taishian Peak's reputation would be ruined by Chu Ning. Chu Ning came down and Ma Shizhuang went up. Currently, besides Night Sorrow, Ma Shizhuang's combat skills were the best in Taishian Peak. He hadn't lost yet, and everyone else had admitted defeat. Ma Shizhuang's opponent was Qian Yin. Qian Yin's strength was his speed. Ma Shizhuang, who was holding a saber, didn't give Qian Yin a chance to display his speed. The saber in his hand opened and closed. In the end, Qianyin was forced off the stage and won. Tang Tian went up and defeated Tan Dong. Look on the N edition chapter J next. Chu Lingxiao called for Knight Sorrow to go up. This time he met Ning Cheng, and Ning Cheng also admitted defeat. The battle continued, and all 10 people had to fight. Knight Sorrow's side defeated Tan Dong, Qin Hai, and Ning Cheng. Next was Qian Yin, Chu Ning, Cheng Jiang, and Ma Shizhuang. Finally, only Su Mu and Tang Tian were left. Once again, Knight Sorrow drew Tang Tian. Haha, I originally thought that I would be able to bully 13th uncle after defeating that fellow. Looks like there's no hope. I forfeit. Tang Tian laughed slyly. This was also Tang Tian's last match. Out of the 10 of them, almost all of them had finished 9 matches. Currently, the ones with the best combat skills were Knight Sorrow and Su Mu. Yuan Zhuang had lost twice, Chu Ning had lost thrice, and behind them were Qianyin and Tang Tian. Chapter 129. Currently, the first and second placings had yet to be determined. The winner of the final battle between Knight Sorrow and Su Mu would be ranked first, while the loser would be ranked second with 9 points. Aside from the two of them, Ma Shizhuang had the highest points. He had lost 2 matches and admitted defeat to Knight Sorrow and Su Mu. Next was Chu Ning. She had lost 1 more match than Ma Shizhuang, because of Ma Shizhuang. Then came Qian Yin, Tang Tian, Ning Cheng, Cheng Jiang, and Tan Dong. Qin Hai had the worst results. How could he fight with a limp arm? He had to admit defeat no matter who he encountered. When Chu Lingxiao called out Knight Sorrow and Su Mu's names, the two of them walked onto the arena. Everyone knew that this was the final battle of the Medicine Valley's newcomer competition. The two of them were strong enough to enter the Yuan role. This was something that had never happened in the past newcomer competitions. This was also the opinion of some people who did not know the inside story. Those who knew the inside story of the Medicine Valley knew that this was a competition between Taixian Peak and Naining Peak. It was also a competition between Yu Yangyu and Su Chenbai. It could even be said that this competition involved the direction of the next Valley Master. Can I request a death match? Su Mu asked Yan Beibei while gritting his teeth and shaking his neck. He had said what Knight Sorrow wanted to say. Why? Yan Beibei frowned. He was disgusted by Su Mu. I'm afraid that I won't be able to hold back. Su Mu looked at Knight Sorrow as if he was looking at prey. Peak Master Yan, I agree to a death match. Staining the arena with blood is the true nature of a martial artist. Knight Sorrow took out the reincarnation spear from his back. Great Elder, what do you think? Yan Beibei looked at the Great Elder, who was dressed in linen clothes. You can fight as you wish. However, if one side admits defeat, you cannot continue fighting, the Great Elder said while tapping the ground with his walking stick. You heard what the Great Elder said. Once one side admits defeat, no more fighting is allowed, Yan Beiji said. Although he said that, he knew that the problem was a little serious. Su Mu was filled with a bestial nature, so it was impossible for him to admit defeat. As for Knight Sorrow, he had noticed this during the disciple recruitment ceremony. He had an unyielding personality, and would not admit defeat even if he died in battle. It was hard to say what the final outcome of this battle would be. Su Mu's cultivation was much higher than Yi Shang's, but Yan Beibei's eyes were sharp. He could tell that Yi Shang's body was extremely tough. Yan Beibei wasn't the only one who knew this. The other peak masters and elders could tell as well. Currently, it seemed like Su Mu was strong, but the outcome of the battle was still unknown. Su Mu took out his weapon. It was a long saber with a 4-foot-long hilt and a 2-foot-long blade. The back of the saber was covered in barbs that flickered with a dim light. The consequences of being struck by such a weapon would be dire. In the previous battle, Su Mu had only worn a metal claw glove on his right hand, and had not used this savage weapon. Since we're all from the same sect, I hope you'll stop there. Let's begin. Yan Beiji said. Roar. With a low roar, Su Mu leaped forward and slashed at Knight Sorrow with the saber in his hands. Knight Sorrow took a step forward and swung his reincarnation spear at the black saber. Both horizontal and horizontal blocks were at a disadvantage. If the force exerted was different, the strength would not reach its peak. Therefore, Night Sorrow swung his reincarnation spear. Night Sorrow did not dodge. He wanted to see how strong Sumu, who was known for his extraordinary talent and iron bones, was. Bang! With a loud explosion, Sumu was forced to retreat 2 zhang. Night Sorrow also retreated 4 steps. Night Sorrow did not use any techniques because he wanted to feel out Sumu's strength. When Sumu retreated, both of his feet tapped on the ground, causing spider webs to appear on the bluestone floor. Footprints appeared in front of Night Sorrow, and cracks also appeared on the bluestone floor. After retreating 4 steps, Night Sorrow stomped on his hind legs and charged at Sumu. His reincarnation spear smashed at Sumu with 42 strands of vibration force. When he was at the peak of the 3rd level of element gathering tier, Night Sorrow could use 39 strands of vibration force. Now he could use 42 strands. When Night Sorrow smashed his spear, Sumu held his saber with both hands and swung it horizontally. Night Sorrow took his saber attack head-on. Now that Night Sorrow had launched his spear attack, he would be at a disadvantage if he did not take it head-on. Their weapons clashed, but the result was completely different from the last time. 1. The instant their weapons clashed, Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear released a powerful vibration, directly deflecting Sumu's saber. The reincarnation spear continued to smash downwards, aiming for Sumu's head. Sumu's expression changed. He let go of his saber and threw a punch at the tip of Night Sorrow's spear. He borrowed the force to retreat quickly. After gaining the upper hand with his spear attack, Night Sorrow used Dragon Leap steps. After taking a few steps forward, his reincarnation spear pierced out once again. His target was Sumu's throat. Night Sorrow gained the upper hand with just 2 moves. This was something no one had expected. Su Chunbai stood up with a frown on his face. Sumu was his trump card for this sect-wide competition. If he lost, it would be a huge loss of face. In fact, Su Chunbai had taken in Sumu as his last disciple, and sent him to participate in the battle of the newcomers. This was already a bit embarrassing. If Sumu lost as well, he would lose both face and face. After gaining the upper hand, Night Sorrow did not give Sumu the chance to use his saber arts to attack. He realized that Sumu's strength was almost on par with his own. He had cultivated the myriad Tao treasured tome, so his arms had a strength of 13,000 to 14,000 jin. Sumu was born with this kind of strength, so he was indeed very powerful. Sumu retreated step by step. Night Sorrow's spear art was fast and fierce, and it also carried the Valiant Vibration Sutra. Sumu could not use his saber arts, so he could only block with his saber and punch with his right fist. However, Sumu retreated in a semicircle. He was doing this to prevent Night Sorrow from forcing him to the edge of the stage. The sound of weapons clashing could be heard continuously. Night Sorrow became more and more courageous as the battle went on. Without using the energy in his body, his arms had a strength of 13,000 to 14,000 jin. With the addition of the vibration force, he could already suppress Sumu. Sumu let out a bestial roar as he was suppressed by Night Sorrow. He could not use his saber, and he could not use his strength. The sullen feeling made him go berserk. His true chi was stronger than Night Sorrow's, but Night Sorrow's vibration force was very difficult to deal with. No matter how much strength he used, he would be shaken away. It was as if he was hitting cotton. Looking at the original chapter. Is Chunbai done? The great elder tapped the ground with his walking stick and asked. Sumu's cultivation is profound. He is only being suppressed temporarily. They will not stop until they admit defeat. We can continue. The muscles at the corner of Su Chunbai's eyes twitched as he said this. Hee hee. The great elder laughed helplessly. The second elder beside him also sighed. They knew that this was the best time for them to stop fighting. Su Chunbai would not lose too much face. Die. Sumu let out a loud roar. He did not care about Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear attack, and slashed his saber towards Night Sorrow's neck. He was fighting with the intention of perishing together with Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's arms shook, and the reincarnation spear fiercely pulled back with 42 vibration force. Night Sorrow would not do something like perishing together with his opponent. Chapter 130. Night Sorrow, stop! Su Chenbai shouted. He was a little anxious because Su Mu, who didn't have a weapon, wouldn't be a match for Night Sorrow. Su Chenbai was Su Chenbai's trump card to attack the Taishan Peak. He didn't want to give up on Su Mu in this sect competition. No matter what, Su Mu was a good seedling of the Ninein Peak. He had extraordinary talent, and was the best candidate to inherit his legacy. When Su Chenbai shouted, Su Mu jumped and pounced on Night Sorrow. He punched at Night Sorrow with both his fists. Shut up. What are you trying to do? If you want to fight, I'll accompany you. Yu Yangyu stood up and reprimanded him loudly. Su Chenbai had gone too far. He had shouted for Yi Shang, not for Su Mu to stop. Su Mu was still attacking. If Yi Shang had really stopped, then regardless of whether they were defeated or not, the one who would be injured would have been Yi Shang. Yangyu, don't be impatient. Chenbai, there must be a bottom line in everything. Medicine Valley can't lose face. The great elder's expression was somewhat cold and solemn. Su Chenbai's actions had already disturbed his calm heart. While Yu Yangyu and Su Chenbai were fighting below the stage, the situation on the stage changed. Night Sorrow used the Dragon Leap steps and took a few steps forward to widen the distance between him and Su Mu. Then he swept his reincarnation spear horizontally and stabbed forward, forcing Su Mu to retreat. Only by doing this did he gain the upper hand after knocking down Su Mu's weapon. After stabilizing his footing, Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear continued to attack Su Mu. Without the battle saber in his hand, Su Mu couldn't withstand Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear with only one claw. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear hit him so hard that he covered his head and stomped his feet. However, he didn't admit defeat. Aren't you very arrogant? Weren't you blocking our Taishan Peak's new disciples at Tianji Tower? Yi Shang scolded Su Mu every time he drew his spear. Su Mu relied on his true energy to channel into his arms to block Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. Not only did he consume a lot of his true energy, he also couldn't withstand the pain. His rage and pain caused his face to turn purple. Watch small story for free equals tell story, alright. Well said. Over at Taishan Peak, Chu Ning, Tang Tian, and the others clapped and cheered when they saw Su Mu being beaten up by Night Sorrow. At this moment, everyone was waiting for Void Admiration to admit defeat. Without a weapon, he simply couldn't withstand Night Sorrow's wind-chasing spear technique. What's there to be arrogant about fighting bare-handed people with weapons? Zheng Jia, the third disciple of the Ninein Peak, shouted at the Taishan Peak. Using a weapon to fight someone who is unarmed? Is there something wrong with your head? Su Mu didn't have a weapon when he went on stage. You don't even have a beggar's stick, yet you still have the face to blabber. Hearing Zheng Jia's words, the second-generation disciples of Taishan Peak didn't say anything, but Chu Ning couldn't take it anymore. Zheng Jia's words were very immoral, but they were also the truth. Impudent. Gong Xian turned around and glared at Chu Ning. However, he still felt very comfortable in his heart. The people of Ninein Peak deserved a scolding. Chu Lingxiao's face turned to the side. The Chu clan was an aristocratic family with a heritage of many years. However, it had never produced a person like Chu Ning. His mouth was too vicious. Night Sorrow whipped Su Mu again, causing him to jump around while holding his left arm with his right hand. He then turned to look at Zheng Jia. You may be shameless, but I am. Our Taishan Peak is shameless. Are you saying that since I have a weapon now, it's unfair for me to win? I'll give your Ninein Peak a chance. After speaking, Night Sorrow raised his right arm and shot the reincarnation spear toward the edge of the stage. Boom! With a muffled sound, the reincarnation spear stabbed into a pillar at the edge of the stage. It was 3 feet deep. Powder appeared on the pillar near the body of the spear, and spiderweb-like cracks appeared all around it. The entire stage was filled with gasps. Just how much strength was used? That was a pillar made of 1,000-year-old ironwood. Night Sorrow put down the spear and used Dragon Leap to charge at Su Mu. Energy whirlpools appeared on both his hands. One was light blue, the other light red. The difference in color was because Night Sorrow's left hand was using the energy in his flesh and blood, while his right hand was using the true qi in his dantian. This was Night Sorrow's first time using the Zhenyu hand with both hands. When he arrived in front of Su Mu, Night Sorrow swatted out with his left hand to meet Su Mu's right fist. Bang! With a muffled sound, Su Mu was forced back. The sleeve of his right hand fluttered like a butterfly, completely shattered by the Zhenyu hand in Night Sorrow's left hand. It was only because Su Mu's right hand was wearing a claw glove that he wasn't seriously injured. This wasn't the end. After Night Sorrow swatted with his left hand, he took a step back and closed in on Su Mu. His right hand once again swatted at Su Mu. If you have the ability, don't admit defeat. When he saw Night Sorrow swatting at him again, fear appeared in Su Mu's eyes. His right hand was protected by a claw glove, but it was still numb. Now that Night Sorrow was attacking again, he was somewhat afraid. It was too late for him to retreat. In order to avoid being hit in the chest, Su Mu could only raise his left hand to block Night Sorrow's right palm. With another muffled sound, Su Mu was sent flying by Night Sorrow's palm. His left hand was dripping with blood. This was because he was innately gifted. His muscles and bones were as tough as iron, so he didn't end up like Qin Hai. Come, get up and continue. Night Sorrow soared into the air and kicked Su Mu, who was lying on the ground. Ignoring the pain from his bloody left arm, Su Mu rolled to the side and dodged Night Sorrow's kick. Puff! Limestone chips flew everywhere. Night Sorrow's kick had the force of 10,000 jin, creating a ditch in the limestone floor. A humanoid weapon. If Su Mu's initial performance was like a humanoid Yao, then the current Night Sorrow was a humanoid weapon. His punches and kicks were extremely powerful. After missing his kick, Night Sorrow leapt into the air and chased after Su Mu once more. A faint red vortex of energy condensed in his left hand once more. Su Mu crawled to his feet and let out a low roar. He charged at Night Sorrow once more. He had already lost all reason. The bestial instincts hidden within his body flared up. Night Sorrow's Zhenyu hand once again swatted at Su Mu's right hand. After the collision of energy, the metal claw glove on Su Mu's right hand was sent flying in all directions. His right arm was also covered in blood. After receiving two of Night Sorrow's Zhenyu hands, Su Mu's claw glove couldn't take it any longer and shattered. Night Sorrow charged forward once more, closing in on Su Mu. If it were anyone else, Night Sorrow wouldn't be so aggressive. This Su Mu had provoked Taishan Peak many times. He had even prevented Chu Ning, Tang Tian, and the others from completing Tianji Tower's missions. This was a slap to Taishan Peak's face. Night Sorrow couldn't take it. Furthermore, Su Mu wanted to fight to the death. His heart was filled with killing intent, so Night Sorrow wasn't going to be polite. Seeing Night Sorrow charge at him once more, Su Mu, who had been beaten awake and scared, continuously retreated until he finally reached the bottom of the stage. Night Sorrow leapt up and pounced down from the stage. As long as Su Mu didn't admit defeat, he would continue to fight. Enough! Su Chenbai's body flashed, blocking Night Sorrow's path. Chapter 131. Su Mu retreated very quickly, but the piercing the heaven spear was even faster. It did not hit Su Mu's abdomen, but hit Su Mu's right thigh. Carrying Su Mu, the spear flew 2 zhang away, and Su Mu was nailed to the ground. How dare you? I told you to stop, and you still dare to continue? Su Mu reprimanded, sending a palm strike towards Night Sorrow. I've tolerated you for too long. How dare you touch my disciple? At the critical moment, Yu Yangyu appeared. He grabbed Night Sorrow's shoulder with one hand and pulled Night Sorrow behind him, while his other hand slapped at Su Chenbai. Bang! With a loud explosion, Yu Yangyu took 2 steps back with Night Sorrow. Su Chenbai kicked. Thud. Thud. He took 6 or 7 steps back before he could regain his balance. At this time, the first elder in hemp clothes appeared and stood between Yu Yangyu and Su Chenbai. Master, help disciple block him. I want to beat him into submission today. Night Sorrow glanced at Su Chenbai and walked toward Su Mu. I admit defeat. Don't come over. Su Mu was truly afraid at this time. Whatever ferocious bestial nature he had was completely gone. #update you knew fastest. Night Sorrow walked in front of him. Ignoring Su Mu's screams, he shook him twice and pulled out the sky-piercing grass. Remember, don't provoke me, a disciple of Taishan Peak. Otherwise, I'll beat you up every time I see you. After putting away the sky-piercing spear, Night Sorrow came to Yu Yangyu's side. Are you okay? Yu Yangyu turned to look at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded and looked at Su Chenbai. 19th Peak Master, I'll remember this. Su Chenbai's expression was cold, and he didn't say anything. He went to help the heavily injured Su Mu up. Su Chenbai, you have to give me an explanation. Yu Yangyu had no intention of letting it go. Third senior brother, let's let the great elder handle this matter. Yan Bei walked over and said. He was worried that Yu Yangyu's radical actions would hurt the great elder's face. The first elder tapped his walking stick and looked at the second elder, who was walking over. Senior brother, it's my fault for not teaching my disciples well. Second elder Qian Wu slightly bowed to first elder. It's not your fault. Deal with it. First elder nodded at Qian Wu. Qian Wu looked at Su Chenbai and made his decision. Interfering with the rules of the arena without permission is a vile behavior. I'll punish you with 10 years of cultivation resources. In addition, you'll be stripped of your position as the sex protector. Go back and face the wall. Master. Su Chenbai was stunned when he heard the punishment. This punishment meant that he was no longer qualified to compete with Yu Yangyu. He was no longer the sex protector, so how could he compete for the position of Valley Master? In the Medicine Valley, the position of the 12 Peak Masters was lower than the Valley Master and the Elders. They were the sex protectors. Not only could they manage their own peak, but they could also restrain the disciples of the other peaks. Now, Qian Wu had stripped Su Chenbai of his position as protector. This punishment was quite severe. Senior brother, what do you think? Qian Wu ignored Su Chenbai and looked at the first elder. It's settled then. Bei, announce the results of tomorrow's Yuan list competition. The first elder left after he finished speaking. Qian Wu's punishment was very fair, and even a little harsh. You've disappointed me. Qian Wu glanced at Su Chenbai before he sighed and left. Yan Bei immediately announced the rankings of this year's newcomer competition. Night Sorrow had a perfect record, and was worthy of being called the newcomer king. Su Mu was ranked second, but he didn't have much face. Then it was Ma Zhuang and the others' rankings. Night Sorrow, who had retrieved his reincarnation spear and followed Yu Yangyu back to the Taixian Peak seats, was grabbed by Shi Tianlin and thrown into the air. When he landed, he was thrown into the air by Mo Chun. Then he was thrown into the air by his senior brothers and sisters before he was let off. While Night Sorrow and the others were celebrating, Tycoon walked over and bowed to Yu Yangyu. Martial uncle, can you return my junior brother's weapon to him? No, why should I? Chu Ning, who had been carrying Su Mu's battle saber, shouted. Slap. Gong Xian waved his hand and slapped Chu Ning's head. The elders are talking. If you interrupt again, see how I'll deal with you. Senior brother Gong, this brat has been spoiled at home. He needs to be dealt with. Chu Lingxiao said as he walked over. Gong Xian nodded at Chu Lingxiao. This is his nature. It's fine if it's not outrageous. 13. What do you think? Yu Yangyu heard Tycoon's words and looked at Night Sorrow. Normally, weapons had to be returned in this kind of competition. However, Su Chenbai didn't follow the rules and Yu Yangyu didn't want to follow the rules either. Therefore, he asked for Night Sorrow's opinion. Give it to him. It's nothing, Night Sorrow said. Okay, you guys go back early and cultivate. There's still a Yuan ranking competition tomorrow. Yu Yangyu left after instructing them. Chu Ning was very reluctant, but he still returned Su Mu's battle saber to Tycoon. After nodding at Gong Xian, Tycoon took the battle saber and left with the 9 Peak disciples. Su Chenbai had left long ago. He didn't have the face to stay. 13. You're too savage. It's a pity that the spear didn't kill him, Yang Lei said. Yes, that guy is very alert to danger. I'm still too weak. If the sky-piercing spear was just a bit faster, I would have been able to kill him. Night Sorrow hated Su Mu's snake-like gaze. 13. I think you really wanted to kill him. Why did you give up on the reincarnation spear? Aoi asked, puzzled. This was also what the others didn't understand. I had the reincarnation spear, and he was wearing the golden iron claw gauntlets. If he defended with all his strength, I could only injure him. It was impossible to kill him. Even if he didn't admit defeat, he would have been stopped. I had to give up my weapon and fight him in close combat to have a chance to kill him. Night Sorrow said. Indeed, but it doesn't matter. This time, you've beaten him until he's afraid. 13. You said it well. Don't provoke the disciples of Taishan Peak. Otherwise, you'll beat them up every time you see them. Those words are so domineering. Yang Lei said as she hugged Night Sorrow's shoulder. Previously, he blocked Chu Ning, Tang Tian, and the others from doing their missions. I was angry, but I wasn't strong enough at the time, Night Sorrow said. Thank you, 13th Uncle, for helping us vent our anger. When I have time, I'll treat 13th Uncle to a drink, Tang Tian said. 13. Go back and recover today. Tomorrow is the Yuan ranking competition. You have to participate, Gong Xian said to Night Sorrow. Can I participate in the Yuan ranking competition? Night Sorrow asked in astonishment. Of course you can. However, the Yuan ranking competition isn't as complicated as today. It's a challenge mode. You see who you can defeat and challenge. If you win, his position will be yours, Gong Xian said. Then I'll participate. Night Sorrow made a decision. He wanted to drag Qinzhan down. In the Medicine Valley, if the person Night Sorrow hated the most was Su Mu, then Qinzhan would be number 2. If it wasn't for the Enlightenment, he would have been bullied at the Grass Valley Inn. Chapter 132. What's wrong? You look pretty excited? Huanan smiled at Night Sorrow. Yes, I want to fight it out with that Tianyue Peaks Qinzhan. Night Sorrow nodded seriously. Yes, deal with that bastard. Just looking at him makes me angry. Tang Tian said loudly. What does it have to do with you? Why are you shouting? Gong Xian turned around and glanced at Tang Tian. It doesn't have much to do with me. It's just that he blocked 13th Uncle at the inn in Grass Valley Town, and wanted to deal with 13th Uncle. If it wasn't for Senior Brother Enlightenment stopping him, who knows what would have happened? Tang Tian revealed Qinzhan's evil deeds. Sigh, how did the world become like this? Oi sighed. The human heart is not what it used to be. The human heart is the most difficult to understand. Since he's looking for trouble with you, you should get back at him. However, it'll be difficult. These veteran disciples of the Yuan ranking are still very strong. Yang Lei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder and said. She had always supported Night Sorrow. Get back at him if you can. Suppressing him will only cause a knot in your heart, which is detrimental to the development of your mental state. Let's go back. Gong Xian said to Night Sorrow and then walked out of the plaza. Night Sorrow pondered as he walked. Was there a problem with his mental state? He didn't want to let go of someone he had a grudge with. 13th Uncle. What are you thinking about? Aoi asked when she saw Night Sorrow frowning as he walked. 6th Senior Sister, am I going too far? Today, I want to kill Su Mu, and tomorrow, I want to deal with Qinzhan. I'm really not an evil person. Night Sorrow said with some hesitation. You should have a kind heart, but you don't have to be soft-hearted when dealing with petty people. There's nothing wrong with you. After this sect tournament, don't return to the Bamboo Forest Peak. Senior Sister will accompany you to drink tea at the Dragon Spring Courtyard and resolve the problem of your mental state. Aoi thought for a moment and said. She understood that regardless of whether Night Sorrow's mental state had a problem, he was still at a loss at the moment. After returning to Taishan Peak, Night Sorrow went to Aoi's Bamboo Forest Pavilion and entered his loft to meditate. After the final battle with Su Mu, Night Sorrow had consumed a lot of his stamina. Aoi once again explained Night Sorrow's situation. It's not a mental state. You saw what happened today. Su Chenbai came forward to stop him, but he still wanted to kill Su Mu. This shows that as long as he wants to do it, he must do it. There's nothing to say about his mental fortitude. At the moment, he's just a little confused. Aoi, if you have time, you can enlighten him. After this, his future will be much better. Yu Yangyu was not worried. Yu Yangyu was very satisfied with Night Sorrow's performance today. Not only in terms of combat strength, but also in terms of Night Sorrow's control of the situation and mentality. What he was most satisfied with was that after Su Chunbai came forward, Night Sorrow still wanted to kill Su Mu. This was something that ordinary disciples of the Medicine Valley could never do. After listening to Yu Yongyu's arrangement, Gong Xian and the others were relieved. They were really worried about this little junior brother. Night Sorrow ate the spirit congealing pill, and the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill, and recovered to his peak state in 4 hours. When he recovered, the sky was full of stars. It was midnight. Night Sorrow simply cultivated until dawn, took a bath, and walked out of the loft. After washing up, eat something. You seem to be in good shape, always said. 6th Senior Sister, do you know the rankings of the Yuan board? Night Sorrow asked. I know a few people. After all, I don't really care about the Yuan board. The first place seems to be Danding Peak's Shi Yunxiao, the second place is Crepe Myrtle's Lan Yu, and the third place you know is Enlightenment, always said. What are their cultivations? Night Sorrow asked. Last year, Shi Yunxiao was in the 8th level of Element Gathering Realm, and so was Enlightenment. Lan Yu is in the 9th level of Element Gathering Realm, but there are some differences in battle techniques and battle experience. Perhaps some of them have entered the Core Condensation Realm. They can't possibly stay in the Element Gathering Realm for long, always said. I know they should have all advanced. Night Sorrow sat at the table and said, not necessarily. Not everyone is like you cultivating so quickly. After entering the Element Gathering Realm, the energy needed to advance is huge. After the 8th and 9th levels, they need to stabilize their cultivation. Otherwise, they will be unlucky when they enter the Core Condensation Realm. No one wants to enter the False Core Realm and stay in the False Core Realm, always said. After that, Night Sorrow found out that many people would stay in the Peak of Element Gathering Realm. This was a watershed in cultivation. After successfully passing it, they would condense their core and become a true cultivator. Once they were stuck in the False Core Realm, it would be very troublesome. The False Core Realm was a gap between the Element Gathering Realm and the Core Condensation Realm. Once they fell in, they would have to slowly climb back up. In other words, the False Core Realm is a stage that all cultivators must avoid, right? Night Sorrow asked. Yes, the False Core Realm cultivators and demonic beasts are much stronger than the Element Gathering Realm cultivators and demonic beasts. However, no one wants to enter the False Core Realm. Who doesn't want to directly enter the Core Condensation Realm? Oh, I nodded. This also means that when I participate in the Yuan ranking contest, I will meet many people in the Peak of Element Gathering Realm. Night Sorrow deduced from Aoi's words. Yes, you now have the strength to fight against those in the Peak of Element Gathering Realm. Also, they definitely won't have as many abnormal battle techniques as you. Use the shock force to block them. Once they get into close combat, they won't be your match, always said with a smile. She had confidence in Night Sorrow. I'll work hard, Night Sorrow said with a smile. You've already won the title of Newcomer King. If you can also win a place in the top 10 of the Yuan ranking, then you'll be setting a precedent in the Medicine Valley. In our Medicine Valley, no newcomer has such a record. Aoi looked at Night Sorrow and said with excitement in her eyes. If Night Sorrow did it, then it would be a grand event at Taishan Peak. It would also be a milestone in the cultivation path of the Medicine Valley's disciples. Later, when they were eating, Aoi told Night Sorrow a piece of news. Shi Yunxiao's family had a middle-level talent, which was that they could use their arms to attack joints. Ordinary people's arms could only bend inward. However, in Shi Yunxiao's family, members who had inherited the bloodline could turn their arms inward and outward. Their attacks were very strange. After eating, Aoi brought Night Sorrow to the Taishan Hall. 13. As for the Yuan ranking contest, I won't be going. I'll just do my best. Yu Yangyu said to Night Sorrow. He had originally planned to go and watch, but changed his mind at the last minute. It was because Aoi and the others had said that Night Sorrow's mental state was a problem, which made him feel that he would give Night Sorrow pressure if he went. Chapter 133. I don't go into seclusion. Even if I do, it'll be for a short period of time. I'll remember these things. If you're not afraid of tiring yourself out, then our Taishan Peak will recruit more people. This time, I'll put aside my pride and bring all the newcomers back, Yu Yangyu said with a smile. I'm not afraid of tiring myself out. It's better for our Taishan Peak to be lively, Yang Lei said with a nod. Alright then you guys go. Take care of 13's safety. I'll go talk to the Great Elder, Yu Yangyu said with a nod. This time, Gongxian was the one leading the team. In fact, only Night Sorrow was participating in the Yuan ranking contest. Everyone was here to cheer for Night Sorrow. After Gongxian and the others left, Yu Yangyu found Taitsong and asked him to secretly keep an eye on him. It didn't matter what Night Sorrow's results were. The most important thing was that he couldn't afford to have any accidents. After arriving at the square of the mountain gate, Night Sorrow realized how wrong he was. He originally thought that there would only be a few dozen people participating in the Yuan ranking contest. But in fact, there were many people from all the big peaks. There were at least a few hundred people participating in the Yuan ranking contest. This also let Night Sorrow know the background of the Medicine Valley. Those who weren't in the late stage of Element Gathering Realm wouldn't participate in the Yuan ranking contest. Now that there were a few hundred disciples in the late stage of Element Gathering Realm, how could Night Sorrow not be shocked? So many people? Chu Ning asked in surprise before Night Sorrow could speak. In the past few years, the Medicine Valley would accept more than 200 people in every disciple recruitment contest. There were also high-ranking members of the sect who went out for experience and brought back youths with cultivation aptitude. Every year, the sect would add 400 to 500 new disciples. Most of these people are in the late stage of Element Gathering Realm. For example, next year or the year after, you guys might be at this level. It's normal for 2 or 3 batches of disciples to be at this level, Huanan said. Everyone understood after hearing Huanan's words. The Medicine Valley was the largest sect within 100,000 li radius. It was normal for them to have so many disciples. The peak masters of the various peaks, as well as the second-generation disciples, had arrived. Yesterday's rookie competition did not affect them much, nor did it affect their personal interests. Today was different. If their disciples were to enter the rankings, it would be an honor. Yan Bei was still in charge with Chu Ling Xiao as his assistant. The Great Elder was sitting there with his eyes closed as if he had fallen asleep. Qian Wu's complexion was not very good. After all, yesterday's matter was very embarrassing. That's strange. I heard that the first elder and second elder did not attend the sect competition and disciple recruitment ceremony in previous years. What's going on this year? Tao Yuan muttered in confusion. 13's retrieval of that ancient book is of great importance. It may be an opportunity for the rise of the Medicine Valley. The first elder may have some ideas, said Gongxian. When Gongxian spoke, the first elder opened his eyes and glanced at Gongxian. He nodded slightly and closed his eyes again. At this moment, Yan Beiji said some encouraging words and then announced the rules. First of all, the disciples who did not have a ranking on the Yuan leaderboard would compete for the right to challenge. This selection was simple and violent. All the challengers would go up to the arena, and only 30 people would be left. These 30 people would have the right to challenge. There were 100 people on the Yuan leaderboard. Those who had the right to challenge could only challenge the last 10 people. Each person only had one chance to challenge. Regardless of whether the challenger or the challenged person won, they would not be challenged for 3 rounds. Those who won 3 times would not have to accept challenges. This one chance to challenge meant that if they lost, they could not continue to challenge. If they won, they could challenge indefinitely. 13th uncle is at a bit of a disadvantage. Those people have brothers and sisters who can help them. Our Taishan Peak only has 13th uncle. If we are targeted, we can beat him up with a punch. Tang Tian said. Interpersonal relationships are also a kind of ability. If you can stand there and prevent others from attacking you, it's also a kind of ability, said Wu Qi. I'll go greet Martial Uncle Duan. Gongxian was about to leave for Cloud Sea Peak. The peak master of Yunhai Peak, Duan Lei, and Yu Yangyu were fellow disciples. Although they didn't interact much, they were always on each other's side during crucial moments. When Gongxian asked Yunhai Peak to help look after Night Sorrow, Duanlei wouldn't refuse. After all, Night Sorrow was also his own martial nephew. Eldest senior brother. There's no need for that. I don't like that. Surviving in a crisis is also a test. Night Sorrow shook his head. He didn't know about his relationship with Duanlei, so he didn't want Gongxian to beg for help. YD update %new most %fast DG on you 13. Sometimes you have to be flexible. Gongxian said as he looked at Night Sorrow. He understood Night Sorrow and knew that rigidity was Night Sorrow's weakness. I understand eldest senior brother's logic, but I still don't want you to lose face and beg for help. What I want is face. Your face is also my face. Eldest senior brother, please allow me to be willful this once. Night Sorrow said to Gongxian. He knew that Gongxian was doing this for his own good, so he didn't want Gongxian to beg for help. The first elder opened his eyes and looked at Qian Wu. How is this kid? Very good. It's really rare. Qian Wu nodded. He knew what the first elder was asking. They might not be able to find out what happened in the outer area of the square, but everything in the inner area was under their investigation. This naturally included the conversation between Gongxian and Night Sorrow. Gongxian exhaled and nodded. He understood that the only thing he could do now was to support Night Sorrow. After Yan Beiji left the arena, Chu Lingxiao called the disciples who were participating in the Yuan ranking battle to prepare for battle. Night Sorrow nodded at his senior brother and senior sister. He carried the reincarnation spear and walked up the arena. He stood on the side of the arena closest to Taishan Peak. It was obvious that the people on the arena were in groups. The 12 peaks were divided into 12 groups. Only Night Sorrow stood alone on the side of Taishan Peak. Qingshan, did you see that? This is imposing manner. Even if there are thousands of enemies in front of him, he will still face them calmly. This is the temperament of an expert. Your martial uncle has really picked up a treasure. Why didn't our Cloud Sea Peak host the disciple recruitment ceremony last time? Duanlei said to Bai Qingshan, who was beside him. Master, do you want me to greet the disciples? Bai Qingshan asked in a low voice. No need. The disciples know who to target and won't provoke him. Besides, it's not that easy to get him off the arena. It's hard to say if we can get him off the arena, but the price will definitely be heavy, Duanlei said with a smile. Soon the battle began and the arena became chaotic. However, one could still see some subtle patterns. The disciples of Danding Peak, North Pole Peak, Cloud Sea Peak, and Crepe Myrtle did not attack each other. The disciples of the other peaks were also fighting in groups. Night Sorrow's side was very quiet. No one came to disturb him. No one took a single Night Sorrow, who was in the 4th level of element gathering tier, seriously. Chapter 134. The sound of blades slicing through the air, the sound of weapons clashing, and the angry roars of some people after they fell off the stage could be heard. Night Sorrow stood there motionlessly with his reincarnation spear pointed at the ground with his right hand. 13th uncle is so cool. With a spear in hand, the world is his. No one dares to touch 13th uncle. Chu Ning's big mouth was not idle. Just as Chu Ning was speaking, 2 disciples from Tianyue Peak who were pushed back by Danding Peak rushed towards Night Sorrow. They planned to take down Night Sorrow first. Don't jinx it. Aoi reached out and slapped Chu Ning on the back of his head. Night Sorrow twisted his right wrist and pulled out his reincarnation spear horizontally in front of him. When he pulled out his spear, there was a vibration force. His true chi was not as abundant as anyone on the stage. Therefore he could only use battle techniques. Buzz. A strong vibration sound was heard. The guy on the right side of Night Sorrow saw Night Sorrow pull out his spear and blocked with his battle blade. However, he did not manage to hold onto his battle blade, and it was sent flying. After his weapon was sent flying, he was hit by Night Sorrow's spear and was sent flying off the stage. At the same time, Night Sorrow used the Dragon Leap step and moved 2 steps, dodging the other person's attack. Then he flicked his wrist and stabbed his spear towards that person's throat. The guy who did not want to retreat and wanted to beat Night Sorrow off the stage swung his long sword towards Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. When he swung his sword, he even slid it towards Night Sorrow. He planned to flick Knight Sorrow's spear away and take advantage of the situation to attack. Ding! This guy's long sword was blocked by Knight Sorrow's reincarnation spear. The reincarnation spear was unmoved like a mountain and stopped at the guy's throat. While this guy was still in shock, Yi Chang's reincarnation spear smashed down on this unlucky guy's shoulder, causing him to tumble. Yi Chang then followed up with a kick to kick him down. Isn't that stupid? Seeing the weapon in front of you being knocked away, you still want to pick up 13th Uncle's spear. You don't even know how you died. Tang Tian shook his head and said, "It's your 13th Uncle's cultivation level that's too deceptive. Why would he care about someone in the late stage of element gathering tier?" Huanan said with a smile. When the two of them were knocked off the stage by Knight Sorrow attracted a lot of attention. The disciples of Tianyue Peak who had been repelled in the group battle rushed towards Knight Sorrow. Since there were people looking for trouble, Knight Sorrow didn't hold back either. The reincarnation spear's barrel slashed and swept across, shaking away all the attackers. Some of the unlucky ones were directly knocked off the stage. Only one Y positive V version _NX other. All one is stolen. F version Knight Sorrow didn't use the energy in his body. He only used the strength of his arms and the power of the vibration to fight. Even so, no one was able to get close to him. Using the reincarnation spear that weighed 1,000 Jin with a strength of 13,000 to 14,000 Jin, and the reincarnation spear with the power of the vibration. Those in the late stage of element gathering tier, who didn't have a very strong body wouldn't be able to withstand it. Seeing Knight Sorrow injuring the disciples of Tianyue Peak and knocking them off the stage, the disciples of Tianyue Peak gathered towards Knight Sorrow. They wanted to deal with Knight Sorrow first. Seeing the disciples of Tianyue Peak rushing towards him, Yi Shiwen executed the dragon leap steps and waved the reincarnation spear with both arms, controlling the distance between them and not letting them get close to him. He didn't want to defeat or injure many people. His goal was to stall for time and hold on until the end. As long as he was among the last 30 people, it would be fine. Knight Sorrow's body suddenly moved forward and backward. Holding the reincarnation spear with both hands, he attacked without restraint. No one was able to threaten his safety. Knight Sorrow's safety wasn't a problem, but the people attacking him were. As long as they were touched by the reincarnation spear, their weapons would either be knocked away or their bones would be broken. There were many disciples of Tianyue Peak, but it was useless. There weren't many people who could get close to the inner circle to attack Knight Sorrow. Interesting. Do you think group battles are useful? Back when we were exterminating the mountain bandits, 13's cultivation was much weaker than now. Didn't he still get exterminated? Emo-chan said with a smile. He knew Knight Sorrow's group battle ability very well. Moreover, the current situation was different from back then. Yi Shiwen didn't seek to kill. He only sought to protect himself and injure the enemy while protecting himself. Enlightenment, this little guy is very fierce. On the spectator's stand, a girl wearing a white battle robe with her hair tied up behind her head said to Enlightenment, "Senior Sister Lan, that's not a little guy. That's our martial uncle." Enlightenment said with a smile, "Martial uncle? What nonsense are you talking about?" The girl in white stared at Enlightenment and said, she wasn't considered pretty, but she was very spirited. She was Crepe Myrtle's eldest disciple, Tang Qianqian's fifth disciple, Lan Yu. She was also the current second on the Yuan ranking. His name is Knight Sorrow. He's the last disciple of Taishan Peak's Peak Lord. He joined the sect last year. I even brought him over from the Grass Valley. Enlightenment said, "I'm going to faint. What is Martial Uncle Lu doing? He got this little guy to be our martial uncle." Lan Yu said with some dissatisfaction, "There are still some things you don't know. He's a heaven-ranked disciple in the sect." Enlightenment said. Enlightenment was the law enforcement disciple of Danding Peak, so she knew more things. He has connections in the sect. But I don't think Martial Uncle Lu would accept a disciple just because of someone's face. Another disciple on the Yuan ranking said, "You've misunderstood me. He first became Martial Uncle Lu's disciple, and then he received this treatment. This order was given by the Supreme Elder Council. And it was the order given by the great elder himself. However, as far as I know, he did not receive the token of a heaven-ranked disciple, Qiming explained. Don't talk first. This guy is really strong. We're destined to be his target this year. Another female disciple said. She was also one of Crepe Myrtle's disciples, Lan Yu's martial uncle's disciple. Humph. Qin, who was sitting at the back, snorted. What's there to snort about? Let's not talk about others. It's hard to keep your position. I don't understand. Why did your Qin family provoke him? Enlightenment looked at Qin and said, Don't think that just because he got the title of newcomer king, it will affect my strength. Qin's face was livid. Enlightenment didn't give him any face. Newcomer king? This guy got first place in the newcomer competition? Lan Yu asked with some surprise. Yes. Just yesterday he got first place in the newcomer competition. The opponent he defeated was Beast Baby, who was in the 8th level of Element Gathering tier. Enlightenment said. He was at the scene yesterday just like Qin. That Beast Baby is really strong, but he was too arrogant. It's good that he was defeated. This young martial uncle is really strong. Could it be that Taishan Peak specializes in fierce people? Lan Yu shook her head slightly and said. Chapter 135. What a pity. Lan Yu shook her head. She admired Night Sorrow a lot. He entered the sect this year. To be able to reach this level, he is indeed quite strong. A man behind her said. Speaking of which, I admire our martial uncle quite a bit. In this year's disciple recruitment ceremony, the sect's threshold is the 4th level of Qi refining. When he participated, he was at the 3rd level of Qi refining. He said that he wasn't any worse than the others. After the sect gave him the qualifications to participate, he stubbornly fought with the other 7th and 8th level Qi refining participants until the end, becoming one of the 26 people who entered the sect. You guys weren't there, so you should be able to imagine the difficulty he faced. Enlightenment lamented. I say, Qin, to be able to become enemies with him, are you really something? A short-haired youth looked at Qin. Qin glanced at the short-haired youth and didn't say anything. He didn't dare to offend him, as he was a ruthless person from Wuwei Peak. Wuwei Peak always emphasized on Wuwei Peak, but the short-haired youth in front of him was different. He was a genuine ruthless person. He was the disciple of Wuwei Peak's head disciple, Yishui. His name was Fengyan. Enlightenment smiled and didn't say anything. He looked down on Qin, as the two didn't have any interactions. How strong is he? He broke his opponent's weapon with one spear? Lan Yu's junior sister, Huangqian, looked at the stage and said. On the stage, Night Sorrow broke the Tianyue Peak disciple's saber with one spear. Then he followed up with a kick and kicked him off the stage. When Night Sorrow kicked, his opponent came up from behind and stabbed his long sword towards Night Sorrow's back. Unable to dodge in time, Night Sorrow took out the sky-piercing spear with his left hand and blocked it. Then he used the wind-chasing spear technique with the sky-piercing spear to force his opponent back. Then he used the reincarnation spear in his right hand to smash his opponent. Long spear and short spear using the same spear technique. He is truly a monster. Lan Yu said with some shock. While the disciples on the Yuan roll were watching, Night Sorrow had defeated most of the Tianyue Peak disciples. There wasn't anyone left in front of him, so the remaining Tianyue Peak disciples didn't approach Night Sorrow. How is senior brother? Taitsong, who was standing behind Duanlei, asked. What else can it be? Senior brother has picked up a treasure. Taishan Peak has earned a lot. Don't show off. Duanlei glanced at Taitsong and said. Taitsong chuckled and nodded. Senior brother, you don't know. My big brother acted too quickly. Otherwise I would have taken it. Even if you want it, you'll still be misleading others. Duanlei gave Taitsong a look of disdain. Hearing Duanlei's words, Taitsong nodded helplessly. He was indeed not good at teaching disciples. Most of his disciples were taught by other elders of Taishan Peak. When Night Sorrow saw that no one was attacking him, he took 2 steps back and returned to his original position. He sheathed the sky-piercing spear at his waist and pointed the reincarnation spear at an angle to the ground. Night Sorrow's attitude was very clear. He just wanted a spot. If he didn't provoke others, they'd better not provoke him either. Night Sorrow's side was quiet, but the other peaks were more intense. Hundreds of people were fighting for 30 spots. There were too many wolves and too little meat. In Medicine Valley, being a disciple on the leaderboard not only represented glory, but also cultivation resources. Only if you had strength and potential would you be worthy of the sex attention. Outside of the sex grand competition, one could also challenge the Yuan leaderboard and Elixir leaderboard at other times. However, one would need sect merit points. Sect merit points were hard to come by. Challenging the Yuan leaderboard and Elixir leaderboard wasn't very easy. Therefore, disciples who didn't have a lot of resources and merit points wouldn't challenge them. Night Sorrow's side was very quiet. Only a few people who didn't notice his battle came to fight with him. However, they were defeated in a few moves. There were fewer and fewer people in the arena. Danding Peak, North Pole Peak, Cloud Sea Peak, Ninine Peak, Forgotten Cloud Peak, and Green Rock Peak's group battles had also come to an end. Ninine Peak, Forgotten Cloud Peak, and Green Rock Peak's disciples who weren't outstanding were all defeated. The remaining few who were strong no longer fought head-on. They moved quickly in the arena, planning to last until the last 30 people were selected. After a few rounds of encirclement, the remaining disciples of Ninine Peak, Forgotten Cloud Peak, and Green Rock Peak were not defeated. The disciples of Danding Peak, North Pole Peak, and Cloud Sea Peak shouted and began to fight with their own abilities. The elimination process was very fast. In a short while, there weren't many people left in the arena. With Chu Lingxiao's stop, the battle ended, leaving only 30 people. Next was the start of the challenge. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. He returned to his seat at Taishan Peak and sat down. With the qualification to challenge, he could challenge at any time. Gap. There was a huge gap between the disciples who weren't on the Yuan leaderboard and those who were on it. A few of them went up, but none of them succeeded. They were all defeated. This made the challengers feel conflicted. The challenge fell into an awkward silence. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow stood up and came to the arena. I want to challenge. Okay, Taishan Peak disciple Night Sorrow. Over there is the Yuan leaderboard. You can only challenge the last 10 people. Chu Lingxiao said. This was the rule. A newcomer was only qualified to challenge the 10 people who were ranked higher than them. If one wanted to challenge the one ranked lower than 100, they wouldn't be able to do so. They didn't have the qualifications. Then 91 it is. There was a stone tablet on one side of the arena. The names of the Yuan leaderboard were written on it, but Night Sorrow didn't look at it. Wan Chun 91 on the Yuan leaderboard. Come out and accept the challenge. Chu Lingxiao shouted at the resting area of the Yuan leaderboard disciples. At this moment, a tall and thin man walked out and entered the arena. Night Sorrow turned his wrist and pointed the reincarnation spear at the ground. He said to the tall and thin man, Wan Chun, please enlighten me. You're too polite. Make your move. Wan Chun nodded at Night Sorrow and then took up a defensive stance. Night Sorrow's feet shook as he charged forward. The reincarnation spear pierced towards Wan Chun's front. At the same time, the spear was filled with vibration energy. Wan Chun's body flashed and dodged Night Sorrow's spear. He circled around Night Sorrow and began to attack with his sword. He had already seen Night Sorrow's battle and knew that Night Sorrow's spear technique was outstanding. Furthermore, he was incomparably strong. Thus, he didn't plan to fight head-on and planned to win with his sword technique. Wan Chun's battle strategy was correct. Unfortunately, Night Sorrow's spear technique had already been cultivated to the extent that he could wield it like an extension of his arm. As he brandished the reincarnation spear, not only did he block Wan Chun's attack path, he also forced Wan Chun to continuously retreat. This wasn't to say that Wan Chun's sword technique wasn't good. He didn't dare to clash with Night Sorrow's weapon, causing the power of his sword technique to decrease by a few %. After being forced to the corner of the arena by Night Sorrow, Wan Chun had no choice but to use his sword to block Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. In the end, his long sword was shaken off by Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. Night Sorrow controlled the reincarnation spear to stop 1 foot in front of Wan Chun, and then retreated. I have lost. I accept my loss wholeheartedly. Wan Chun cupped his hands towards Night Sorrow. I'm sorry. Night Sorrow expressed his apology. Wan Chun smiled and left the arena. He wasn't as strong as Night Sorrow, so he could afford to lose. Will Night Sorrow continue? Chu Ling Xiao asked. Chapter 136. Scammer. Huang Qian looked gloomily at Qin Zhan, because in the following result, she might be out of luck. She was ranked 41st, and Night Sorrow kept challenging people who were 10 ranks higher than her. Then she would have to face Night Sorrow, because Qin Zhan was ranked ahead of her. At the tail end of the top 10, Qin Zhan clenched his fists but did not speak. Huang Qian was nothing to him, but Huang Qian's senior sister, Lan Yu, was very powerful, having been stuck at the peak of element gathering tier for a year. The one ranked 81st was also in the 9th level of element gathering tier. He began to use the same tactics as Wan Chun, but the result was the same. Night Sorrow's body was very strong, and he displayed the chasing wind spear arts to its fullest potential. He could not withstand it, so he could only admit defeat when he was at a disadvantage. That way he would not lose face. Next, the 71st ranked also admitted defeat. Night Sorrow did not intend to rest. This kind of battle did not consume much of his energy. Next, Chu Ling Xiao called the one ranked 61st. My name is Chen Yun, I admit defeat. The 61st ranked Chen Yun stepped onto the stage and smiled at Night Sorrow, then bowed slightly to Chu Ling Xiao. Bastard, shouldn't you at least fight a few rounds before admitting defeat? A middle-aged man not far behind Chu Ling Xiao scolded. He was Chu Ling Xiao's junior brother, and also Chen Yun's master. Master, I really can't beat him. If I continue to fight, wouldn't that be embarrassing? Why don't I preserve my strength and deal with others later? Chen Yun said to the middle-aged man. And if you can't keep 61st, see how I'll deal with you. Chen Yun's master glanced at Chen Yun, then sat down. The one ranked 51st was a ruthless character. His surname was Yin Hai. After he stepped onto the stage, he quickly approached Night Sorrow and engaged in close combat with Night Sorrow. After the close combat, Night Sorrow realized how difficult it was to deal with Yin Hai. With a short blade in one hand and a fist in the other, he attacked Night Sorrow's vitals. The most ruthless part was that his hands were often twisted, and he could attack in the opposite direction. It was extremely strange. Night Sorrow recalled Always words. The number 1 on the Yuan leaderboard was called Yin Xiao. His family's innate ability was to counter joint attacks. This Yin Hai was naturally a member of the Shi family. Facing such a situation, Night Sorrow pulled out the sky-piercing spear from his waist and engaged in close combat with Yin Hai. He relied on the vibration force to restrain his opponent's short blade and then blocked his opponent's fist. However, this was not enough to force Yin Hai to retreat. Dong! Night Sorrow exerted force with his right hand and stabbed the reincarnation spear into the limestone floor. Once again, he took out the sky-piercing spear. With the sky-piercing spear in his 2 hands, he executed the wind-chasing spear art and began to randomly stab Yin Hai. Sometimes he even ignored Yin Hai's left fist and directly attacked with the sky-piercing spear. It was a completely lose-lose battle. After a few rounds, Yin Hai was forced to retreat by Night Sorrow. I say this method of yours is too shameless. Is there a need to use a mutually destructive method in a competition between fellow disciples? Yin Hai said in a somewhat depressed tone. It's not a mutually destructive method. Both of you hit each other at the same time. You'll be heavily injured, but he'll be fine. The Great Elder opened his eyes and said, Is what the Great Elder said true? Yin Hai did not doubt the Great Elder. He instinctively looked towards Night Sorrow to seek confirmation. I've been blocking your short blade and ignoring your fist. Your fist can't seriously injure me. At most, it will hurt for a while. I'm willing to accept your fist. If I'm fine, then you admit defeat. Night Sorrow said. He did not want to be entangled in this matter. He could see that Yin Hai's attacks were strange and varied, but his strength was insufficient. His speed of true qi was not as fast as Wan Chun's. That's fine. I'm not shameless. In a battle, my left fist can at most use 70% of its strength. Adding in your evasion, I can only use 60% of my strength. If I can't push you back by 3 steps, then I admit defeat. Martial Uncle Chu, if I lose, please give him some time to rest. Shi Yunhai bowed towards Chu Lingxiao. And, although Night Sorrow is at a disadvantage, you're also straightforward. After all, in a battle you can still throw out such a punch and hit your target. The advantage you have is that you can avoid one of Night Sorrow's attacks. In fact, Night Sorrow will pull back at the end, and will not seriously injure you. Chu Lingxiao nodded. Night Sorrow put away his reincarnation spear, and the energy of the myriad Tao Tome began to circulate. Come, don't hit my face. Pucci. Shi Yunhai, who was about to throw out a punch, let out a breath and could not help but laugh. Not only Shi Yunhai, but many people also laughed. Night Sorrow's words at such a crucial moment were unbearable, and hurt them internally. Night Sorrow spoke very seriously. He was afraid that Shi Yunhai would act recklessly and hit his face. That would not be good. After taking a breath, Shi Yunhai took a step forward and punched Night Sorrow's left shoulder. He did not have any ill intentions and aimed for the chest, lower abdomen, and other vital areas. Bang! After hitting Night Sorrow, Shi Yunhai took 2 steps back. Night Sorrow's body swayed a little, but he stood still. Although it was a little painful, the energy of the myriad Tao Tome circulated 2 rounds, and there was no problem. Fine, you're ruthless enough. You took a punch from me, so I owe you a drink. I lose. After cupping his hands towards Night Sorrow, Shi Yunhai looked at Chu Lingxiao and admitted defeat. Night Sorrow, you are now ranked 51st on the Yuan board. Do you want to rest for a while or give up? Chu Lingxiao asked. Night Sorrow shook his left arm and said, No need, I'll continue. I'll challenge 41st. The people on the Yuan board were astonished. Night Sorrow was too savage, almost like a monster. Scammer. Huang Qian looked at Qin Zhan again, and came to the stage. Night Sorrow looked at Huang Qian and said, Please enlighten me. I'm not as strong as you, and I'm also not as good as you in close combat. What's the point of fighting? I'll give you the 41st place. When you can challenge your target, beat him up. Martial Uncle Chu, I admit defeat. Huang Qian quickly muttered a few words, and then admitted defeat. She knew that she was not Night Sorrow's opponent, so she did not plan to fight to the death. Fine, if you're not satisfied with your current ranking, you can fight your way back. Chu Lingxiao smiled. Thank you for your encouragement, Martial Uncle Chu. I'll see if there are any rookies I can bully. If there are, I'll challenge them. Huang Qian smiled and got off the stage. Night Sorrow, it seems you still want to continue fighting. 31st, who's 31st? Hurry up and come down. Chu Lingxiao did not wait for Night Sorrow to speak and directly shouted at the disciples on the Yuan board. A fair-skinned youth came down and said, Uncle Master Chu, I'm no match for him. Let's not waste time and not block his path. I'm anxious to see which unlucky bastard is causing trouble. He's really in trouble. Good, that's a good attitude. I'll say it again, you all have one chance to challenge. If you're not satisfied with your current name, you can continue to challenge, Chu Lingxiao said. Chapter 137. Next was the 21st place. He was Chang Yuan, a disciple of Green Rock Peak. Night Sorrow had seen this person when Gong Xian had found the entrance to the alternate dimension. After Chang Yuan got on the stage, he looked at Night Sorrow and said, One must know their limits. Biting off more than you can chew won't end well. Why are you talking so much nonsense? You are not qualified to teach me a lesson. After hearing Chang Yuan's words, Night Sorrow was very unhappy. It was mainly because Chang Yuan had used a lecturing tone. Then let me see how strong you are, and how fierce your spear technique is. After Chang Yuan finished speaking, he smashed a copper rod in his hand towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow did not dodge and swung his reincarnation spear. Bang! With a muffled sound, Night Sorrow took a step back. Chang Yuan also took a few steps back. He was very strong, but with the power of his true qi, he was still inferior to Night Sorrow. After pushing Chang Yuan back, Knight Sorrow's feet trembled. He rushed forward and swung his reincarnation spear again towards Chang Yuan's head. Chang Yuan was good at strength but not speed. He could not dodge Knight Sorrow's spear at all. He could only hold the copper rod with both hands to block. He had blocked Knight Sorrow's spear, but his trembling arms and unstoppable body showed that he was much weaker than Knight Sorrow in a head-on collision. Again, Knight Sorrow's body spun horizontally in the air. The reincarnation spear once again swung towards Chang Yuan's head. This time, he used the energy in his body. It could be considered Knight Sorrow's full strength. Knight Sorrow was not afraid of anyone below the third rank, let alone Chang Yuan, who had never cultivated his body. Since Chang Yuan was good at strength, Knight Sorrow would defeat him in strength. Bang! Another muffled sound was heard. Chang Yuan's rod was sent flying by Knight Sorrow's spear. His hands were bleeding, and the web between his thumb and index finger was split open. His body fell to the ground, and blood slowly seeped out from under his knees. My master, senior brother, and sister can teach me a lesson, but you? Why? Yishang coldly glared at Chang Yuan. Knight Sorrow wins. Men, help Chang Yuan down. Chu Ling Xiao announced the result. Continue or rest? After arranging Chang Yuan's matters, Chu Ling Xiao looked at Knight Sorrow. Continue. Knight Sorrow nodded. A woman walked out from the Yuan ranking. Master, his talent is amazing. I'm not his match. I admit defeat. Yes, everyone's talent is different. A cultivator's achievement depends on one's talent, and the other on their hard work. When you see other people's talent, think about their hard work. In the future, you will be able to do the same. Chu Ling Xiao said to his disciple. Thank you for your help. Knight Sorrow bowed to the woman. Knight Sorrow, there are still 10 people in front of you. Who will you choose? Chu Ling Xiao knew that the main event was about to begin. Qinzhan, come out. Knight Sorrow finally had to face Qinzhan. He pointed his reincarnation spear at the Yuan ranking disciple's seat and roared. Now all the disciples of the Medicine Valley knew who Knight Sorrow's target was and who had provoked him. Qinzhan's face was ashen as he walked out from the Yuan ranking disciple's seat. Let's fight on the arena. Knight Sorrow growled at Qinzhan. You are really aggressive. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Let's see who's afraid of who. Qinzhan walked onto the arena. I know you're not afraid of me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have blocked the entrance when I came to the Medicine Valley to participate in the disciple recruitment ceremony. However, I want to tell you that I wasn't afraid of you back then and I definitely won't be today. Knight Sorrow said as he brandished his reincarnation spear. Knight Sorrow's words caused a commotion. Tianyue Peak's Jin Kan and Luo Daoyuan's faces were unsightly because everyone knew what was going on. When Knight Sorrow came to participate in the disciple recruitment ceremony, Qinzhan used his cultivation to bully him. How exciting! Qianwu's face was ashen as he looked at Jin Kan recently. Su Qinbai had embarrassed him, and now Jin Kan was involved in this matter. While they were talking, the two started fighting. At this moment, a very handsome man came to the Yuan ranking disciple's seat. With his arrival, the Yuan ranking disciples quieted down. This person was the first on the Yuan ranking, Shi Yinxiao. Cousin is here. I've lost, Shi Yinhai said to Shi Yinxiao. You're not convinced? Shi Yinxiao sat down and asked. No, I'm convinced, Shi Yinhai said. At the same time, he talked about Knight Sorrow's situation. He's very ferocious. He didn't rest and directly rushed to the end to fight Qinzhan. His target is Qinzhan, Feng Yan said. I heard their conversation just now. Qinzhan is indeed a bit outrageous. However, this brat is also quite ferocious, Shi Yinxiao said as he looked at the two who were already fighting on the arena. It's not a brat. It's Martial Uncle, the last disciple of Martial Uncle Lu. Senior brother Shi, how long do you plan to occupy the Yuan ranking? Enlightenment said. Hey, unspecified currency first sent asterisk. I don't intend to continue occupying it. Today, I came out to get some fresh air. After that, I will return to my cultivation retreat. If you want to challenge me, you can just take it, Shi Yinxiao said with a chuckle. The battle on the arena became more intense. Qinzhan was indeed very strong, or else he wouldn't have been able to occupy 9th place on the Origin Proclamation. He had been in the peak stage of element gathering tier for quite some time, and his cultivation had been stable for a long time. His battle experience was also very rich, and he could be considered to be at the peak of element gathering tier. However, in front of Night Sorrow he didn't have the slightest bit of advantage. Night Sorrow executed the dragon leap steps to the limit and brandished his reincarnation spear. He flicked, stabbed, smashed and swept. Spear after spear continuously attacked Qinzhan. Qinzhan relied on his movement technique to dodge. He didn't dare to receive Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear head-on. There were many examples of him clashing head-on with Night Sorrow, and none of them had a good ending. The reason he was able to persist was because Qinzhan's movement technique was indeed very agile. He dodged all of Night Sorrow's attacks. This guy is really embarrassing. He should just run around on the arena. What kind of battle is this? Huang Qian was very dissatisfied with Qinzhan. If it wasn't for Qinzhan, she wouldn't have lost her 41st place. Although it's quite embarrassing, Qinzhan's battle strategy is correct. After all, Night Sorrow's attacks are too fierce. Not only are his attacks fierce, they also have the power of vibration. As long as his weapon touches you, you will be bounced back and unable to continue the battle, Lan Yu said. Interesting. A 4th level element gathering tier martial artist has such battle prowess. Our Medicine Valley actually produced such a heaven-defying character. Shi Yunxiao clenched his hands together, and the joints of his hands made caw-caw sounds. This caused the people on the Origin Proclamation to be stunned. Those who were ranked at the top of the Origin Proclamation were almost all friends. Sometimes they would even do sect missions together, so they were all familiar with each other. Shi Yunxiao's action showed that he had the desire to battle. On the arena, Qinzhan relied on his movement technique to dodge, but was still forced to a corner by Night Sorrow, who was wielding his reincarnation spear. Chapter 138. Looking at Night Sorrow's sweeping spear, Qinzhan jumped up to dodge. He didn't dare to retreat because if he did he would fall off the stage. Seeing Qinzhan jump up, Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear paused and stabbed it into the ground. He held the sky-piercing spear in both hands and rushed towards Qinzhan. Aren't you fast? Then let's fight in close quarters and not give you the chance to display your speed. Seeing Night Sorrow take out the short spear, Shi Yunhai shivered. Playing like this again? This guy doesn't want to win. He just wants to ruthlessly mess with Qinzhan, Lan Yu said. Yes, this guy has the intention to kill. I can see it from his eyes. Shi Yunxiao nodded and said. This guy really can't be provoked. Whoever provokes him will be unlucky. He really holds a grudge, Shi Yunhai said with a smile. It can't be said that he holds a grudge. It's just that Qinzhan is too inhumane. I am the clearest about this matter. At that time, I was in charge of Xiaogu Town's safety. Qinzhan went to the inn and blocked someone's door. He even wanted to fight. If this happened to us, we wouldn't be able to get away with it. Enlightenment explained the situation that day in detail. You were in charge of Xiaogu Town's safety. He was so arrogant. Why didn't you teach him a lesson? Lan Yu looked at Enlightenment and said. At that time, safety was the priority. I couldn't act recklessly. You guys don't know. He even used Lin Tianjue to pressure me. Sigh, his character is really good. Enlightenment sighed and said. When Qinzhan landed, Night Sorrow got close. The sky-piercing spear in his right hand stabbed towards Qinzhan's neck, and the sky-piercing spear in his left hand aimed at Qinzhan's lower abdomen. Seeing Night Sorrow's double spear, Qinzhan's expression changed. He saw the battle between Night Sorrow and Shi Yunhai. Shi Yunhai was so strong in close combat, but he still lost. His close combat ability was not as good as Shi Yunhai's. Shock was shock, fear was fear, but the battle still had to continue. Qinzhan waved the long sword in his hand and blocked Night Sorrow's short spear. Ding! Qinzhan's long sword was shaken away. In his anxiety, Qinzhan forgot that Night Sorrow's weapon should not be touched. After shaking off Qinzhan's sword, Yishang's two short spears landed on Qinzhan's body. Although they were slightly off target, they still pierced Qinzhan's body. The sky-piercing spear in Yi Shang's right hand pierced Qin Tian's shoulder, while the sky-piercing spear in his left hand pierced Qin Zhan's waist. I admit defeat. When Night Sorrow was about to continue stabbing, Qin Zhan quickly shouted these 3 words. Stop. Chu Ling Xiao hurriedly stopped Night Sorrow from continuing. Glancing at Qin Zhan, Night Sorrow pulled out a pair of sky-piercing spears and retreated. You admit defeat quickly. If you have the ability, continue to threaten me in the future. Someone come, help Qin Zhan down. Chu Ling Xiao shouted and ordered the disciples to bring Qin Zhan down. Translator. Tim Editor. Globeglotter. You're now ranked 10th on the Yuan ranking. Do you still want to continue? Chu Ling Xiao asked. Nope. Night Sorrow shook his head. He didn't want to offend too many people. Today's matter was already very extreme. If he continued, he would become the public enemy of the Yuan ranking. Alright, you can go down. The Yuan ranking challenges still have to continue. Chu Ling Xiao also let out a sigh of relief. Night Sorrow's continuous challenges had made him nervous. Wait a moment. Shi Yinxiao walked out from the Yuan ranking seat. Night Sorrow turned to look at Shi Yinxiao. When they're done, can we exchange pointers? Shi Yinxiao looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Sure. Night Sorrow nodded. I'm Shi Yinxiao. Shi Yinxiao announced his name. I'm Night Sorrow. Are you here to vent for Shi Yinhai? Night Sorrow frowned. No, Yinhai wants to treat you to a drink. If he doesn't mind, why should I? Not everyone in the Medicine Valley is narrow-minded. I just want to exchange pointers and then go into seclusion, Shi Yinxiao said with a smile. All right, we'll do it later. Hearing that Shi Yinxiao wasn't looking for trouble, Night Sorrow felt a little better. He liked Shi Yunhai's character and didn't want to see someone like Qin Zhan again. He was very satisfied with Shi Yunxiao's answer. When Night Sorrow returned to his seat at Taixian Peak, he received enthusiastic cheers. Chu Ning and Tang Tian's voices were especially loud. Stop shouting. Let your 13th uncle rest for a while. Yang Lei glared at Chu Ning and the others before letting Night Sorrow sit beside her. 13th uncle, the Shi family is straightforward. They really just want to exchange pointers with you. They don't have any ill intentions, Gong Xian said to Night Sorrow. I know. Night Sorrow nodded. He had a strong intuition for danger, malice and kindness. Shi Yinxiao only had battle intent and no murderous aura. Yi Chang left the arena, and the battle on the arena became intense once again. The other members who were qualified to challenge each other began to challenge each other. They had all been motivated by Yi Chang's battles. Yi Chang had never been ranked, and he had fought his way into the top 10. Cousin, you really want to exchange pointers with Night Sorrow? Shi Yinhai asked Shi Yinxiao from the Yuan leaderboard. Yes, he didn't use his full strength in the previous battle, so I want to fight him. Lan Yu Enlightenment, if I lose then the first place on the Yuan leaderboard will have nothing to do with you. Shi Yinxiao said to Lan Yu, Enlightenment, and the others. Senior Shi, if you don't go easy on him, I'll take the first place, Lan Yu said. Of course I'll take it, Enlightenment nodded. They all recognized Shi Yinxiao's strength. He deserved to be first place on the Yuan leaderboard. The battle continued. Only 4 of the 30 people who were qualified to challenge succeeded and entered the top 10. However, they all failed if they continued to challenge. The strength of the veteran Yuan leaderboard members was not fake. After the 30 newcomers finished their challenges, it was time for the veteran Yuan leaderboard disciples to fight for the rankings. As long as they didn't challenge the top 10 in front of them, they could challenge. Night Sorrow closed his eyes to recover. Although these few battles didn't consume much of his energy, he had to maintain his peak state when facing the shockingly talented Shi Yinxiao. He didn't care about winning or losing, he just wanted to fight. After 4 hours, the Yuan leaderboard challenges ended. Those who wanted to challenge had all challenged. Other than the top 10, the positions behind had all changed. However, the changes weren't big. They were all disciples of the Yuan leaderboard, and everyone knew it better. After the Yuan leaderboard challenges ended, Night Sorrow stood up and walked towards the stage. Sorry, I just wanted to spar with you. Seeing Night Sorrow on the stage, Shi Yinxiao also walked up to the stage. There's nothing to be sorry about. Fighting is the fastest way to improve one's strength. It's just for a fight, not for winning or losing, Night Sorrow said. Well said, I like your temper. After the sect tournament, I'll go into seclusion. However, I'll remember to drink with you. Sure, Yinxiao said with a smile. Okay, no matter if it's a fight or a drink, I'll accompany you anytime, Night Sorrow said. Sure, Yinxiao took 2 steps back and put on a boxing glove on his right hand. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.